SWAT box, what are you doing here? This is a combat zone. It's restricted. Ease off on your main thruster and head over to patreon.com/SWOCBC for episodes of our all-new series, Inside the Insider, where the gang explores articles from every single issue of the official Star Wars Insider fan magazine in order and get an even closer look at how Star Wars and its fandom have evolved over the years. New episodes with each public upload months earlier for patrons. Red 24, Red 30, follow me to patreon.com/SWOCBC for the latest episode of SWAT Box. Inside the Insider today. In target range. It's ahead. All ships jump to light speed.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You're just... Okay, so what? The flight's canceled? Fine. When was the last Inside the Insider collection? Yeah. No, the episodes from Patreon. Yeah. Well, I'm uploading them way after for everybody else to listen to. Don't worry about it. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to tell them. Look, it's like if you watch it, right? You get to see it, and then maybe you want to sign up for Patreon. I don't know. Just do it. Just do what I'm saying. I gotta go. Do you hear that? I gotta go. Jesus Christ. May the force be with you. I love you.
SWAT Box Episode 13, Inside the Insider has been activated. Commence pre-launch sequence. Issue 4, you are clear for takeoff. Original publication date of summer 1988. This is Control. Thanks for listening.
What's up, you Gundark grave robbers?
Whoa.
Robbing the graves of dead Gundarks. Welcome back.
Like burying them with precious things.
I don't know what, where are they from? Tatooine? I don't know where they're from. Corellia?
Here's half a Gundark.
Is it like a Rancor where there's like one on every planet?
Yeah, I don't know. Star Wars is weird. Welcome back to our bonus show, Inside the Insider, issue number 4. What time of the year is it now? It's like, what, summer 1988?
Yeah.
That's right? That's awesome.
Willow is out.
Let me tell you something.
Willow is in the wild.
This is the second.
Willow is changing cinematic history. Shit, what did this kid say? It wasn't even my article. Dude. I was just reading it. It's gonna entertain people. This is for centuries.
Yeah, look,
centuries.
So
amazing.
This is the second Willow issue of the Lucasfilm fan club,
but it hadn't come out last time.
It's right? The second cover in a row, though, for the movie Willow. Which
sure,
is
but I'm
wild.
saying now it's out.
Yeah. Now people have seen Willow, or at least they pretend to have. Here's the thing. I just wanted to point out, because I'm doing the letters today again, the fan forum. The first letter is from Donna L., and it says, I wanted to write and tell you how much I enjoyed seeing Willow. This movie taught me an important lesson that love comes from the heart and is stronger than all value judgments that we place on each other. Thank you for helping me to realize that it is not what you are, but how much you love someone else who is different from you. That's the whole letter. Donna from Pomona. I wanted to write and tell you how much I enjoyed seeing Willow. Next one from Janet from Dorchester, Mass. I just had to write in and tell you how much I loved Willow. It was wonderful and it was a lot of fun. I'm not a kid. I'm a single woman in my 30s, and I absolutely thought it was great. The actors were super, as well as the special effects, and the story was very touching. I do have to say that I've been a longtime Star Wars fan and shall continue to be, and that it didn't take place in my heart of the saga. Nothing ever will. But it was a fun movie, and it was very well done on the part of George and Ron Howard. I shall definitely be seeing it again and again. And don't listen to the critics, George, because they don't know what they're talking about. Willow is wonderful. Thank you for giving me 2 hours of pure fun. So I don't know what's going on here. It feels like Willow came out, nobody liked it. But did you guys see Willow?
I have not ever seen Willow. I just know it's a cult classic fantasy movie.
I didn't see it. I don't remember seeing it as a kid.
Yeah.
I do remember watching it much later in life and being like, it's all right.
Here's the thing. So I was reading because I had the letters, and I have the ILM bit at the end, which is all about Willow this time. It's like the inside ILM or whatever it's called. That same thing you did last time, Davis. And it's about how they are trying, like the whole point of Willow was to this is Dennis Muren talking. He's talking about how a large reason why Star Wars had the impact that it had at the time was that like you couldn't make this before. Like you couldn't make space seem real before. It seems like a no-brainer now, but before Star Wars, there wasn't, or actually probably before 2001, let's say, because that was like, what, 1969 or some crazy thing, 71?
Yeah.
Even older by a lot, and it looked amazing. But that was like the first time anybody had seen anything approximating what they believed was like real outer space. And so with Willow, I think like what George had in mind was to sort of like do what Peter Jackson ended up doing, where he made like the first like legit fantasy blockbuster that looked real. And honestly, going back and looking at Willow, the thing that Dennis Muren was talking about the most was that the brownies in the movie, which are like the little like borrowers, they're like the little like tiny people. He related them to not like Warwick Davis, not like little people. I'm talking about like like Thumbelina sized people, right?
Yeah, like what you would consider the gremlin that harasses Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
They're 9 inches.
They're like humans, but they're the size of like not even 9 inches. I don't even know.
Well, according to the Warwick interview that I read.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Very well. But here's what I'll say. He likened that shot. He said the first time I ever did anything like that was I shot full size plates and then rephotographed them onto the thing, which today is like nothing. Like you can just ultra key and like resize assets and just put it in the frame however you want. But he was talking about how he could do it with one person where they just shoot it twice. Like the first scene he did it was the Tauntaun like tracking shot. I don't know if you remember that shot.
Sure.
But it's like a pretty amazing shot, even in the 4K 81 or that we watched, or 4K
Yeah, I think
80
we
watched.
talked about it in the watch along. Like,
Yeah, it's like a tracking shot of a Tauntaun where it's obviously a composite, but it looks really amazing. And that's what they did for the brownies in this. But they're in the movie so much that instead of doing static plates, this time they did moving plates, which was like a big difference. Like that's what the 10 years since Star Wars has like gained them, right? And so it's really cool to see them take a big swing at trying to like make the next Star Wars like the spiritual sequel to Star Wars, in the sense that they took a genre and like reinvented it. And honestly, Willow looks fucking amazing, but that's about like unfortunately the script is not the best. Like the Dark Crystal is like even better than Willow. And I know that sounds like sacrilege probably to somebody out there, but really interesting.
From the like trailers we were watching of it, it doesn't seem to have the stuff, the goods. But
there's not a lot of romance. Like, and I don't mean like kissing. There's just not a lot of like romance to Willow at all. It doesn't have like a very like swashbuckling flavor to it all the time.
Which is weird because in the interview he was saying it was just very like, it's like a lot of action.
It is.
Throughout.
I mean, it is.
But it's not like the like fun action.
Yeah. It just doesn't read to the audience as like any type of thing like Star Wars did. I don't know. Star Wars is a lot more postmodern, and this is like literally like a shittier version of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Like it's just like, it has some crazy shots. Like there's this one shot where the sorceress changes like into like 10 animals or something, and they just do it as 4 shots. Or maybe it's 8 animals. They do it as 4 shots where they just change from one to the next, and it's like crazy looking. Like if you have a chance, you should look up the effect shots from Willow, because they are, considering what year it is, like 1988.
I want to see, because from the trailer there were like effects that weren't doable in Star Wars, and I'm like, oh, trying to watch it with like old effects lens seems like it might be kind of fun.
Well, that's the other thing they were saying is like the thing that's hard about this compared to Star Wars is like everything is shot in a real place. Like they had complete control of everything with Star Wars. Like the space is like chump change nothing. Like they can do it in a black room and just do whatever.
I think that's like a thing when I'm looking at it. I'm like, I think because it's all real stuff that it ends up hurting it, because everything you saw in Star Wars wasn't real. So it was like, yeah, this could be what this space looks like.
Yeah, it's basically ILM taking it to like real sets.
And it's space, so it's dark, and so a lot of the effects here at least look like they're during the day, and you can kind of see the seams more.
And this probably walked so that Jurassic Park could run in a lot of ways, in terms of like effects happening in front of people. The scene of the freaking like fish thing in Willow is pretty crazy, but it's not as good as when the T-Rex comes through the top of the truck like 2 years later from the same people, and it looks fucking amazing.
It does have the same attitude as when you watch a movie and they clearly spent more time and energy on set pieces and scenes rather than having any sort of. Well, you want to feel like this matters to the audience.
Yeah, like the screenplay is like not that good.
Without having seen a bunch of these like ILM movies, that's what the feeling is. Like the costuming, the like world build, like that they build physically. All these effects are like keep pushing the bar, but they just don't have.
There's no heart. There's
not like characters or a script, which is like I think probably why they.
Like the movie's like a 7 though. Like I'm not trying, or like a 6.5. I'm not trying to say it's nothing. It's just not Star Wars, one of the greatest things that's ever happened.
Yeah, and even without the first one being like, and then like the second one being treated differently, like Star Wars might have had a similar fate. So it's like
it just didn't hit. It just flopped.
But it seems like a pretty good. I don't know. I'm holding out hope that we do it as like a little.
You want to watch Willow?
Like Willow watch along, like a little just.
You want to watch Willow?
Like tangentially.
I mean, I'll watch it. Do I want to watch it? Not really.
Like
again, it's.
You made us watch Awesome. Utterly awesome.
Did they throw away Willow, the movie, too? Or just the show Willow is gone?
Oh, I don't know about the movie. I know the show Willow is
show.
not happening anymore.
They just did. It came out. Like they deleted it.
Didn't it come out? And then they.
Yeah.
They
backrolled it. That was out. Like people watched that for like 2 months.
No, I thought it was still on there. They removed the whole thing.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I got well, I guess while we're on the subject of Willow, I don't even know what Jesse's is about, but maybe it's also about Willow. Just a cool Warwick Davis interview. Just about, it kind of covered, there wasn't like a ton of super interesting stuff, just like talking about the process of how he got like cast and how originally the part of Willow was supposed to be much older, like 40. He was 17 when he
has like not voice change voice in this movie. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he was like, but I guess they like reduced the age for him because they liked him, and he was like worried about, because I guess he's a father in this, and he was like, you know, for him his big concern was like, I hope I come across like convincing because I have no real world, you know,
there's no analog
experience.
for like what is happening in that movie to the real world almost at all.
Sure. But he also thought that the movie was going to be entirely little people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it wasn't until he like, I think started screen testing against other, like the Mad Mardigan actor choices that he was like, oh, okay. That was just like a funny little aside.
There are a lot of little people in the movie though, for real.
Yeah,
that's true.
In Nelwyn or whatever, the town he's from, apparently at the time that was the largest. It was like they had over 200, and they had to get little people from across Europe. Like there was a whole.
It was like a whole deal.
Yeah, and they had to get like a bunch of different translators to do it, and he was talking about like it was a super hectic day, but it was like a very like fun and beautiful day, and then kind of like everybody just like got into it. Hearing about this, kind of why he just was talking about how much fun it was. He's like, Val is like hilarious, and he spent I guess there's a
like
sequence where he's like dresses up like a lady to escape, and so because of how long it took to just shoot all that stuff, he was like half the time Val was just like dressed up as a woman with like lipstick on, and he was just doing bits the whole time, and like he had nothing but good stuff to say about him. He was talking about like it was fun doing the action stuff. They kind of like had to do everything for real in this day and age, so they were like
like on horses and shit.
Yeah, he's like, I really hated horses. He was like, I was like practicing horse riding before this on my sister's horse, and it like ran away with me.
Oh
like,
my
just
God.
like he was like, so I wasn't like super excited about having to do that horse stuff, but it was like fun.
Holy shit.
And then there was a part, I guess there's a snow, like a sled scene.
Yep.
And they were filming it. They had like a pro skier skiing backwards, holding the camera for a bunch of the shots. And
that's way more badass to me than CG.
Yeah. And there was one part where they had the camera on the sled, the skier was like going backwards, guiding us, and then I can't remember if it was a he or she, but like they like bounced off, or like they like peeled off, and it was like Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer were there, and they're like we were so scared that the fear was like for real, and we had to do this like 12 times, and they were like it was exhausting and scary, but like at the end of the day we felt really good. So he was just like, hype on that.
Side note, it's also just weird to see Ron Howard like look like pretty much like Richie Cunningham, but like with a beard.
Just Opie coming through.
Yeah.
And apparently also is like, even Warwick Davis, like, he's like basically the same personality, just like a really like fun, chill guy to work with.
The narrator of Arrested Development.
There's this great picture of Warwick Davis in Willow outfit, but with like
Sunglasses on.
It's such a vibe. It's so sick. He's just like, oh, it looks cool. Talks about George Lucas. He was like there on set a lot, kind of just like, he was like, oh, he'd be over there just like fixing a matte painting. He was like, they were doing like a water scene, and somehow George was wet too, like, you know,
He was like involved.
That
just like
sounds right.
having a good time. I don't know, the whole set, it reminded me of like, you know, like I do sketches and we do shooting. It's not obviously like a big set, but we've done a bunch of action stuff, and like it sounds like this was a really fucking fun movie to shoot. Even if it's not good, it seemed just like everybody had a great time.
Anything on this
And-
level is probably like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you just get to like,
Unless you're with George Miller, I guess.
you kind of just like go to a place, you become like buds, unless you're like shooting Fury Road and
Yeah,
Tom,
exactly.
or what's his face is being like Tom Hardy's like
Yeah.
being weird. Like everyone just got along, had a great time, had tons of stories, and was just like doing it. He was talking about blue screen, which was like new for him and maybe new for whatever.
The way they explain it in that ILM thing, he's like, you see, we shoot the one thing, and then the background is removed, and then we rephotograph it on the other thing. It was like,
I guess because they used
basically
to do
explaining it.
projection before, like an
Yeah.
old timey movie, so you could
they still do it today. Like
Here-
Mandalorian.
Yeah, they're back to it. But like here, he was like, we would like go through a scene. They'd have little dolls for the brownies, and then there was then nothing, and then he just had to remember and do all of it. And he was like, that was very challenging, which
Yeah, of course.
we would see that like be a problem later. But then also he was talking about like, it was kind of cool because I guess there's a part where they're all climbing on him, and he's like, they just had strings attached from my clothes and were just like pulling it
doing
and doing
puppet shit,
stuff,
yep.
which probably helped a lot. So yeah, this is only part one, I guess. Next,
There's no
month.
way this is the only interview with Warwick Davis that's going to be in this.
But yeah, they were like, and then they were just talking about like, oh yeah, then he got to go to this sound stage or whatever after to do the other effects, and the brownies, which were like 9 inches, were like 6 foot tall people, and so he's like,
whoa,
that was a trip. And then it was just talking about, you know, what it's like being a little person as an actor, and he was talking about like, for him, it's not weird. He's like, this is just like normal for me. And if I'm being honest, like I probably wouldn't be an actor. Like that I'm able to do all of this is because of that. So it had like a kind of a sweet little.
Yeah, what's the show with him and
Carl Pilkington?
Yeah.
Idiot Abroad?
yeah, is it what is like
Season 2, I think.
Yeah, that is one of the best. Like, if you want to know what it's like to be a little person in like a production, the way that Carl Pilkington made Warwick Davis's life miserable was uniquely incredible. And the ways that he like earnestly insulted him to his face over and over and over again is just unbelievable. Like Warwick Davis to me is now
Wait, like
a
that wasn't bits. Like he was just being.
I mean, Carl is a walking bit. He's not a real man.
yeah, I mean, you know,
Is he like aware of the bit, or is he like actually?
I don't
like,
know.
not 100.
I
Not
always-
100%.
I couldn't tell
There's
you.
no way it's 100% aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, Warwick Davis, really cool guy. Check him out for like his like 50-year career of being like so front and center in so many movies. What do you got, Jesse?
Boy, oh boy. Gentlemen, forget Tucker.
Oh,
forget
thank
Willow.
God. Oh, thank God.
It's time to move on because 1989's around the corner and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is coming.
I knew you were gonna like that.
Which like
I did.
Yeah,
is a tight movie.
it's a
So
good,
it's
like
it's
One of my
nice-
favorites. Love it.
It's nice
unimpeachable
to
movie.
be on like another good movie,
Here's the thing.
So Willow's not bad.
This article
but like an all timer.
Okay, fair.
This article sucks. This is a bad article. Straight up, the beginning is like, coming out next year, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, starring Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. Now, you might know Sean Connery as
Fucking
one
James
of the
Bond.
best spies ever,
Yeah.
wink. And then it's like, also, he was recently in some movie you've never heard of. And then, turns out on set, their chemistry is great. And the two of them are having a good time. And then here's 3 paragraphs of other people who are in this movie with no real description. And then straight up, the last paragraph is the film credits include, and then just a list of credits. Like, this is an insane article. Really what it is it's to show off photos from the set. Photos of Harrison Ford looking amazing and Sean Connery looking amazing, and the shot where Harrison Ford and Sean Connery are hiding from the plane that's dive bombing them from the movie, or before he uses like, I remember my Charlemagne, and he like runs after him, like that whole bit. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And so it's a very like, all right, here's some photos to get you hype on the movie. It tells you nothing. There is not a bit of real fact in here except for like names, dates, places, where they're filming. But that's it. It's really kind of a like bare bones article.
Well, in like 2 or 3 issues, I think we'll finally see Last Crusade. I'm pretty
excited.
I'm pretty sure before that we actually have the Tucker like cover.
Finally,
like,
Tucker.
like the Tucker cover. A Man in His Machine. Is that what it's called? A Man in His Dream.
I kind of like
Tucker's better than Willow in my
I
opinion.
want to see it because I love Jeff Bridges, and he looks.
Yeah, he's the best.
He just like looks like a young like Howard Stark type or something like.
Yeah,
So
or
I'm hyped.
Obadiah Stane if you want to get more like a young Obadiah Stane.
The interesting bit about this entire issue is that it is so Star Wars light.
Yeah.
That it almost, when you get to the bottom part where they're talking about merch or they're talking about the fan clubs or a lot of pen pal things,
Just throwing shit in there.
the vibe has kind of a society is moving away from Star Wars slowly.
Yeah.
And the people who are still in it are like, I'm just reaching out to see if anyone else still cares.
Star Wars guys.
Yeah, and most of the wanted stuff isn't just Star Wars. It's like Indiana Jones, Star Trek, like all the different, like if you got sci-fi, I want it, guys. And I just want someone to talk to. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Most of it's Harrison Ford fan club stuff now. It's interesting to see it slowly push away from Star Wars. And
It has been 10 years since the first one came out. So
Yeah.
how many years after the last? But like,
Just a few, but like most movies don't have a tail like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
it definitely feels like everyone's kind of moving on, and they're like, Star Wars is over. It's time to move on
the
from Star
trilogy
Wars.
is complete. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no crazy books or anything happening that are like cultural zeitgeist things.
Just
at the
droids,
moment.
baby.
Yeah, so
Just droids.
it definitely has. There's like a sadder vibe to some of these letters. I'm like,
But wait till Sindel Tawani comes back to revive the entire franchise.
the sick thing though is like some of this merch they got where they're like Star Wars trilogy portfolios. They were like, you can get, they're just portfolios of Ralph McQuarrie, like art.
Like folders?
They're like, it said portfolios, so it was
Oh,
like,
like actual like prints?
yeah, it's like,
they also have.
because they were portfolios, I thought each one was a like multi-piece, like one was for each of the movies. Because they were like, each one is $10, but they were like, these first edition portfolios were discovered in Europe and brought back to the US and can be yours from the Lucasfilm fan club. for a
Discovered
limited
in
time.
Europe? What the fuck are you
That
talking
was
about?
a very curious thing, but I'm like, I would just love to have a booklet of the Ralph McQuarrie stuff because I think they do have them now, and it's like $300 or some shit for that.
Of course,
I
yeah.
gotta get a I gotta get a PO box or something like for
Send
people.
us your stuff.
Send us your like old Star Wars merch from your garage, at least for us to see, and then we can home it.
Send it back.
Yeah, we'll home it somewhere. Somebody will have it.
There's
Actually, fuck, that'd be a sick little.
Yeah, I know.
Something we could do what they're doing here, and then I would also just get to look at it and maybe
Steal it.
rehome it.
This is also time for the Star Wars RPG was coming out, so they're promoting that.
Yep.
They're promoting the Star Wars like tech manuals, so now they're starting to be like, this is what a droid looks like on the inside. So they're getting there. We're getting there, but it's still 88, so it's kind of like a weird void of activity where people are keeping it alive, but at the same time, there's a weird little desperation I'm picking up where it's just like, anyone want to write and talk about Star Wars with me? I'm
man.
like, oh, you need a forum. I wish they existed for you, my
Dude,
man.
the amount of work that you had to do back then to stay in touch with people who like the same shit as you.
Yeah.
It's like why the world was the way it was and not the way it is now.
Pen pals from everywhere on this thing. There's pen pals from all over the world. Like, I just want to talk to someone, which is very cute, but also just like,
Damn.
man.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We're only 4 issues in. There's 20 issues of this before we hit the actual Star Wars Insider.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I think we'll see it. The needle shift back towards. I think we're gonna hit Howard the Duck. I think we're gonna hit a couple other a couple other things, and then the needle's gonna swing right back to Star Wars, baby.
Look, this is the month that the tabletop RPG first came out.
Yep. West End Games still got it. The source book. Do you have a version of that?
I definitely do over there somewhere. Yeah,
That's
I'm looking
so
at it
cool.
right now.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that later. All right. Well, guys, this has been another Inside the Insider. Thank you for coming inside the Insider. Thank you for coming inside the Insider with us.
We're all of us taking our turns.
Yeah.
One by one, coming inside.
Coming right on in.
Insider.
And we'll see you next time. And thank you for paying for this. And we'll see you later.
Keep
Goodbye.
your droids close and
Come see us.
All right, SWOCBC, you're clear for landing. Inside the Insider is edited by Alex Del Campo and Alex Fasciani. The theme song is Jupiter, Bringer of Jollity by Gustav Holst. Thanks for listening. SWOCBC Episode 14, Inside the Insider, has been activated. Commence pre-launch sequence. Issue 5, you are clear for takeoff. Original publication date of fall 1988. This is Control. Thanks for listening.
You space broncos, get in here. Welcome back, you fucking space, you old space western little bastards. Welcome back to Inside the Insider, issue
Yeehaw.
number 5, fall 1988. Now, I'm going to be real.
For the first time ever?
Yeah, this is
Wow.
it. No joking.
No
All
jokes.
jokes aside, I was pretty tired of Willow, and the cover model for this issue is one of the articles that I chose not to include in our
What do you mean? What can it be
smattering.
about?
It was about Tucker, a man in his dream, and
sounds like you were plumb tuckered of hearing about Tucker.
of George Lucas's
and Willow?
like non.
I feel like
Influential?
that is how I feel about this entire thing.
Yeah.
And the more we do it, the more I'm upset that it exists.
It's cool because it's gonna like evolve, and I'm already like this one. I would say between issue 4 and issue 5, this is like a thickums, but like
True.
issue. So I feel like and it's broadening in scope, and it's starting to get its feet under it and understand.
I will say, like, I didn't read every article thoroughly, but from just like scanning the other ones, like there's more than just Willow and Tucker now.
Yeah,
For whatever
they're starting
the
to like
article
realize.
quality
yeah.
doesn't necessarily
No, still
get
terrible.
any less chilly or better, but
I think it's. I don't know
at
if
least
that's
we're
gonna
talking
ever
about different
change.
stuff.
I don't know if that's ever gonna change. Like I feel like Star Wars Insider was just a hype.
Still corporatized.
Yeah,
I
but I
gotta,
don't
go,
know.
I gotta go back and read old like Nintendo Powers.
That's
Were
what I
they,
was just thinking
were they
about.
like that?
No, actually, no. Like
There's
Nintendo
like
Power is pretty good.
everything that they make is the highest quality.
Yeah,
according to them.
The cool. Well, that's
It's
not
good
even
for everybody. It's the best.
in Star Wars. Yeah, but in Nintendo Power, actually, no. Like Nintendo Power, they had like integrity. They like would say when stuff was bad.
Although I do remember some reviews where they were like, or previews,
Yeah.
where they would hype up a game.
Oh, yeah.
And then you remember playing the game, you're like, yo, this game sucks.
Like a
dude.
movie game, like some like
Yeah.
weird
Hudson Hawk.
Batman game.
It
yeah,
may in fact
Hudson Hawk
be
for
the
Game
Star
Boy.
Wars game for Super Nintendo.
Woo.
That game.
Hey, we'll get to that game like actually like fairly
Dude.
soon.
Dude,
I hate that game.
dude.
We'll get there. Do we
I just went through a whole scenario
you want to know what happened
of
with
playing.
Davis?
He
Just
Okay,
because we're
I
in the-
unlocked a core memory.
This is just for the patrons right now.
Dude.
Dave, first of all, Davis's experience with the game is
like
on
all things.
is on Game Boy.
I played the one that I played the most was Return of the Jedi on the Game Boy, and I booted up the Game Gear version.
He's like,
because I didn't
he's
even
like, what's out
know
there?
about
What's
it.
out there? He's like, Super Return of the Jedi for the Game Gear. It's not good. It's a
No.
Game Gear
It's
game.
so much better looking than the Game Boy version, and I was like playing through it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's what this was supposed to be with color." And then you're like, "Shut the fuck up!" And they boot up the SNES version.
It's like
and
stereo
the
sound,
most
music.
Beautiful. It's so crazy.
Starts with
but
like an extra
fuck
3D.
That game. That's the most
one of the hardest things I've ever played.
maliciously made,
Yeah.
non-fun game. Here's the thing. Later that night, I went back and played like 6 levels on the Game Gear version again. And
You went back to the Game Gear?
do you know why? Do you want to know why?
'Cause it's like
and we talked
shitty.
about it because it has fewer assets, which means there's
like
less
shitty and
bullshit.
empty.
Like literally,
Sure.
they can't stuff as many nonsense.
That is so dumb. We're gonna get to the video games like for real.
It is, that is actually a relevant topic.
pretty soon. But yeah, before I get too far into that, I just want to. As always, we're gonna start with the fan forum, which is their letters section, and I wanted to call out number one, the coolest sounding thing ever. Another same thing as the 10th anniversary Comic-Con meetup where Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas kissed each other on the mouth and played with lightsabers and Darth Vader showed up or whatever the fuck happened at that thing.
Sure.
Similar to that, here's something from
my
Mary.
my first time travel destination.
Yeah, so insane. It's maybe one of the most magical days that ever occurred. And it's in Long Beach. It's crazy. Anyway, Mary from Fremont says, Marin Magic is the name of this letter. And it starts with ellipses, so I'm guessing that they just
clipped a bit of it.
So, ... I want to thank Lucasfilm for the wonderful once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the Lucasfilm exhibit at the Marin County Fair, June 30th through July 4th, which I thought was great because it's right now. I am just thankful that I live in Fremont, only an hour south of Marin County. It was worth the 3-hour wait to see the Imagineering, the great talent, and the inspirational work which ILM has put forth in revolutionizing special effects. Seeing C-3PO and R2-D2 along with their friends and foes up close was exhilarating. To see the costumes of Willow and Return of the Jedi, models, matte paintings, storyboards, and the Tucker car was like a dream come true. Thank you, George, for the exhibit. Your movies and your incredible talent, which has inspired me greatly. And now here's a letter from somebody.
I genuinely want to know what the first half of that letter is because I feel like, what if it was... I've taken issue with a lot of things you've said in this magazine, and here are a list of my complaints. However, I did get a chance to go to the Marin.
I got to see the Tucker card. Marin County.
Pretty okay, I guess.
So check this out. So this next letter, there's a theme in this letter section. They always mention Tucker and Willow, which is hilarious. But this one is from Barbara, and she's from Arlington, Mass. And she says, ... On August 12th, 1988, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. I am the first person on my block to see the new movie, Tucker. It was great. If Mr. Coppola will permit me, I would like to suggest a new title in place of Tucker, the Man in His Dream.
A Francis Ford Coppola movie? Is it a good movie?
It's a fine movie. It's just I don't know why they're Tucker's going to be in the Lucasfilm.
I must stress, calling your movie Tucker is the most no one wants to go see a movie called Tucker.
It's called Tucker, the Man in His Dream. He's a real guy. He's a real guy.
I understand, but there is, and just a table of people sitting together naming a film, Tucker. To people named Tucker out there, I apologize, but no one. That'd be like someone Jesse. No one wants to see that movie.
Every single crew member called that movie fucker while working on it. You know, every person that crewed that movie was like,
his name is Preston Tucker. His name is Preston Tucker.
Yeah, well, Preston's not a good. They could have just called it A Man in His Dream or Car Dream or anything.
Yeah, well, it's called Tucker, the Man in His Dream. And they suggest, how about Tucker, the Family and Their Dream? Maybe that's too long. But that's what this story is about. Jeff Bridges does a fine job as Preston Tucker. Dynamic, driven, a whole person with hopes, love, and anger like anyone else. Joan Allen is wonderful as Tucker's wife, Vera. Strong, determined, able to take over a room full of men in a single moment, yet still caring and loving of husband and family. Don't like that wording. These two know each other very well. Watching them, I asked myself, what would I do if my husband came home with a dozen dogs? Don't really know the specifics of the plot of the movie Tucker, but that's a surprise to me.
Who is this person that wrote this?
Barbara. A big hug to Martin Landau. He has always been one of my favorites. The line between workers and family becomes blurred as workers become family.
What?
Yeah. Believing, loyal for them, standing together against the odds with Tucker becomes more important than money. These people lost against the system, but won for themselves. As I left the theater, I couldn't help but wonder how many lives would have been saved if Tucker's ideas on automotive safety had been adopted earlier. I hope you can pass this letter on to Mr. Coppola, Mr. Lucas, the actors and crew. They all did a great job.
I am shocked that it feels, one, that movie was about automotive safety, which is, again, comic movie called Tucker, where the theme is cars need to be safer.
Dude.
I gotta be honest, not an American vibe.
Dude, that letter has the vibe of Do you remember in your Zodiac Killer episode, the like cop that wrote a bunch of like letters about himself?
Dave Toschi?
Did Francis Ford Coppola write that?
It might have been the Banthatrex or whatever this is called, the Lucasfilm fan club, like president. Like, I don't know what's
A lot of it also has the same vibe as people who have figured out the code on how to get in the newsletter.
That's
if
right.
you just include
You
the
just
right
praise it.
phrases and
Yeah.
praise things, they'll include you.
So I also just want to talk quickly about this because I wasn't going to include this, but I love this movie and like I love Don Bluth and all that stuff. So I just want to touch on this really quick. Another thing that's mentioned here is The Land Before Time.
Love it. Great film.
Always liked this movie. It came out in 1998, just like all this other stuff.
1988.
1988 Thanksgiving. That's right. I'm sorry.
I was about to say.
I was just a little babby boy when this movie came out. I was like I probably couldn't even walk when this movie came out. But what I did not know is that The Land Before Time, I just want to read this last bit because I didn't know any of this, because I'm thinking of Land Before Time, right? And you think like in 2024, you're thinking of the like horrible, like endless series of movies that just, there's like 24 of them.
Right.
They're just horrible. They're like just terrible
They kept
quality.
Making them.
If I saw anything past the first, only the first one I remember, and the first one is the only one I ever like rewatched. So for me, it's still like a perfect.
I
It was
remember
dinosaur time when I was a kid. I like remember the first couple.
I remember being a kid in the theater. I cried so. That movie is sad.
It's a good ass movie. It's sad
It's
in the
one
beginning.
of those movies that in like my 30s I've watched it and I was like,
Yeah, and it's Don Bluth, so it's like actually just beautiful.
long necks could be friends with three horns.
Yeah.
I always hate when they do that, where they make like animals like have like caveman talk about just like the way they name things. It's like very funny. Like Big Mountain is over there, but they like also like completely talk and
Use like otherwise great perfect grammar.
Anyway, I'm gonna read a sentence about. I'm gonna read a sentence about this, and it's great. The Land Before Time is based on an original story idea by Steven Spielberg. Those who worked on the storyline include George Lucas, Don Bluth, and producers John Pomeroy and Gary Goldman. The script was written by Stu Krieger. Acclaimed composer James Horner wrote the original score. That is a triple A.
I cannot believe Steven Spielberg was you know how like in movies they always are like, oh no, his personality gets split into evil version and good version. That's like, I have good dinosaur and bad dinosaur movie in me.
You got good bad dinosaur and bad
He's
dinosaur.
like, all right, he got to make his like Jurassic Park, like, okay, these are the bad dinosaurs, and he got to make his like good dinosaurs.
He really
movie.
did live a life of, when I was a kid, I played these games, and now I'm an adult and make movies based off of like the shit I did in my room as a child.
That's what they all did.
But Luke, I mean, like Spielberg lucked out. He got to do what he's like, shark movie, alien movie. We're gonna do like a sad movie, guys. Screw it, let's make a sad movie.
Remember when in like randomly in like the late
he's a
'80s,
misunderstood masterpiece.
It's crazy.
I would say like he like made them and made them great.
Yeah.
There's a
yeah.
lot of people that like the Zack Snyders of the world that I think are making their little dreams, but I'm like, they don't resonate. I think on the way that
but
like
it's not a
Jaws
new,
is like
it's
another
not
like,
a new thing. Like
regular movie.
Look at that weird period, like the Dick Tracy Shadow Rocketeer period, where like no one in the, like a kid in the '80s wasn't like, you know what I love? Hard-boiled like pre-World War II pulp.
Well, that's the brilliance of Spielberg, where he was like, I'm going to take concepts, not I'm going to take things that were from when I was a kid and I
That's
enjoyed.
what they're all. Yeah, that's what they were all doing. Like,
Wait, is that
That's what happened. Is all those movies that came out in the 90s.
Like
yeah.
the Shadow. Yo, I don't
were
think I
just-
had the concept of like
it was either
the
like
nostalgic creator yet.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
It's either an
that's weird that they
old-
made a bunch of.
even Batman is part of that. Batman '88
Yeah,
is or
88.
Batman '89 is like part of that.
The shadow knows, like that kind of stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like really real talk, like what was happening was just like it was finally the time of those people to like live their childhoods out. And it like came into culture again. It worked. It like brought back all those things. Like obviously the Shadow didn't take, but like Dick Tracy did, you know.
I mean, kind of.
that was a big movie. And Batman was like,
It was only big because the stars in it
Yeah.
wanted to be in it because they remember watching Dick Tracy. But if you watch the movie, it's like,
I don't love the movie Dick Tracy.
I feel like it was big and that they thought it was going to be huge and they made a lot of like
marketing yeah.
for it, but isn't it like it didn't do that well?
Dick Tracy, it didn't do that well, but it is not like a...
They didn't like franchise
People
it.
like remember it, and also like...
Again, they remember it because the advertising, and they put every actor who ever acted in that film.
But here's the other thing that's fucked up. Indiana Jones is this as well.
But it's a concept.
Yeah.
Right? That's what like I was saying. Spielberg
He
does
invented
great
a
where
guy. Yeah, he invented a guy.
He creates an essence of what a thing is, captures it, and delivers instead of just taking, oh, here's a comic I loved when I was a kid that was very pulpy and I'm just going to remake it.
It's so, yeah, I guess like it's pulp sci-fi and it's pulp adventure, but it's not, it's like modern.
Yeah, it's its
like,
own thing.
It's like, it's a period piece that's like modernly told. It is, yeah, I guess, I can't remember the last time I watched The Shadow, but it was like,
The Shadow
that
feels
was not a fresh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies like The Phantom also.
The Phantom.
Phantom.
The Phantom I remember a little bit more than The Shadow.
I like that movie.
The Phantom, I was just like, I just thought it was very weird, and I guess I'm now being like, all right, maybe if I rewatch it, I would be like, oh, I understand what you were doing.
You probably don't have the context.
As a young person, I'm just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Dick Tracy was made for $46 million and made $162 million in 1990.
I guess it was big then.
Directed and produced by Warren Beatty.
Like I said, it had
Why
everyone
didn't
in
they
it.
do follow-ups?
Probably because Warren Beatty got his, like, he wrote the movie. He didn't write it, but he directed it and produced it and starred in it. And then he was probably like, dream achieved. Goodbye. Because Warren Beatty probably didn't think, I got to make a second one.
Also, everyone in that movie dies.
That's true.
Almost all the characters are dead by the end of that movie.
Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino.
Yeah, are the two bad guys. Crazy
More
stuff.
like Dusted Hoffman, because I'm assuming he dies. I haven't seen
He
him.
does.
He does. It's literally Al Pacino, Madonna.
More like Ouch Pacino.
Because he dies.
Seymour Cassell is in there. Like Dick Van Dyke
More
is
like
in there.
Not Seymour.
Kathy Bates is in there. William Forsythe.
The movie is
Mandy
Just
Patinkin.
him and his buds just being like, you
Yes.
guys want to be in this?
It's like the finest actors in Hollywood. James Caan is in
everyone is in this movie. But the thing is, 90% of those actors, except for Madonna, are in crazy makeup. Like insane, because they made them look like all the comic book characters. So it's like flat top and needle nose and buzz feet.
They look amazing.
They're wild
They look
looking.
amazing, and I think they all just like Dick Tracy. It's like
guess,
they made
yeah.
a Doctor Who movie, and like
That's because
everybody
everyone loved
jumped
that
out.
damn watch, which we have now.
Yeah,
That's the craziest thing in the world.
the real Dick Tracy watch.
We have it. It exists.
So that's Land Before Time. I have one more thing I wanted to get into because I think it's a historical moment to mark for our sort of cultural journey.
Are these your articles or are these just additional?
These are the 3 articles. Well,
Oh.
actually, there are 2 articles and then this thing, which is the first comic that I've seen. Like the first funny joke about Star Wars that I've seen in a magazine. Right? So like this is kind of interesting because this is from 1988, right? So it says, why the real Darth Vader can't attend science fiction conventions. And the first reason is that he gets no respect, and you see him at the convention and he's like breathing, and everybody's like, nobody cares about him because nobody's afraid of him because he's dressed like everyone else who's there, and it doesn't matter. And he looks like he's just having like social anxiety in a group of people.
Sure, okay. Cute.
Then the guy says, oh, it's you, Vader. I thought it was the air conditioning. And they all laugh again, and he just walks away looking like shit.
He would kill them all.
Second reason is
Why
reason
the
2.
real Darth Vader can't attend is because this was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and he's dead.
for a long time. A long time.
But also, like, nowadays, if you're in Vader, people love to, like, play it up, too.
Yeah.
So
Get choked by you. He says also reason 2, competition. Lots of Vaders at the
That's
convention.
cute.
Lots of
that
Vaders.
works. That's very funny.
Reason 3, ultimate put down, is that the Ewok and like kid Luke Skywalker and shitty Han all won their like perfect like the cosplay contest, and he's looking bad. He's looking mad about it, and it reminds me of that time that Charlie Chaplin entered into a Charlie Chaplin contest and he got second place.
Yeah, that's cute.
Which is just hilarious to me, and it's not that amazing of a comic, but it's
Somehow still accurate to today.
yeah, it's cute. It's funny because I do understand about conventions, and they don't seem to be that different than they were, other than like the
Bigger.
money and size.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just thought it was fun, and I think it's kind of like an evolution of this magazine, like we were saying, like that they would put something like this in here that's not really promoting anything because it's kind of like a fluff piece.
Sure.
Which means they kind of maybe wanted it to be a bigger magazine. So I don't know. That's my thought. What do you guys have?
I got a couple articles. The first one was Lucasfilm Games, which was exciting to read about. Not Willow.
Right.
They were talking about 2 games The first of which is Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders.
Did George Lucas name that guy?
Which is
100%.
so much fun to say. Have you guys played this game?
No.
Zach McCracken?
I've never even heard of it.
I've
Well,
not.
I mean, half of it is like it's such a weird. These articles are so weird because it's like its award-winning predecessor, Maniac Mansion. The game is graphically engaging, intriguingly plotted, great fun for beginners and experts alike, and wildly funny. The whole thing is just the people that made it telling you that it's like the greatest game.
Yeah.
They talk about how it's super accessible. They also, I haven't again played the game, but I think just they tell you the plot of it, and they tell you all of it. And I think that they just like spoil. It's supposed to be a mystery, but they tell you who's behind it and what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, like maybe that's up front, but I'm just reading it and like, it's a mystery, and it's this guy, and he has to team up with this.
Oh, yeah.
And he finds out that it's these people, and they're that, and I'm like, stop
It's
it.
totally a scum game, like same as Maniac Mansion. Maybe that's the whole point, is that it's just like another LucasArts scum game. Like, I don't remember this one.
Not at all.
And there's some interesting stuff. Like we all know cutscenes, like what those are, but they actually like describe. Where is the quote? They like say what a cutscene is, and crap, where is this damn thing? But it's like cut scene. It's like 2 words, and it's like the idea that it's a break. You cut from the action to show a scene. And I guess, I don't know, I've never thought about cuts. I just know what a cutscene is from saying
Like
it
the
so much
etymology
Right.
doesn't
that I
never entered
never
into it.
thought
Yeah.
of it. But here they're like, it's like in, whatever. You cut and you do a thing, and you're like, okay, cool, sweet. Yes, I should have assumed that there was a reason why it's that. And then the other thing that's just, the other game they were talking about is Battlehawks 1942, which is wild.
Battlehawks.
Because
Is it a
is
shooter?
It is a
Like a plane? You're in a plane?
1942 is a World War II like combat game. And
Top down where you're in the plane and you're shooting across the screen, that vibe? Like a
they don't say what they just call it like a cinematic.
It's a flight simulator,
Yeah.
according to
Ah,
cockpit,
okay.
cockpit view.
It's just crazy
Instrument
because
view.
this also ties into literally what I'm listening to right now in the Dan Carlin hardcore history. Like, I just read about the Battle of Midway, and this paragraph is like explaining how that changed combat in wartime forever, and is going through the Battle of Midway, and how you are like, the game is set in 4 of the different battles, or like Midway and of that era. Mm-hmm. And you basically just do missions and you play through them. And
If there was ever a game I definitely probably played as a kid, that sounds like it.
I'm curious. It's from the 80s though. Right?
It was a sprite scaler, like Mode 7 vibes.
Okay, so it's
It would probably have been released
It came out in 1988 October.
Interesting. Well, I definitely didn't play it, but I probably played something similar to it for sure.
Yeah, flight simulator. It uses 3D engine. Muzzle flashes and tracers are present. High quality AI.
they're also like it's been authenticated by men who flew in the actual engagements, which is like Jesus.
Yeah,
40.
I mean, they would still be around and kicking.
they'd be like 65 years old only.
Yeah.
40s. Oh yeah, because I guess like soldiers, like wars are fought by like.
I remember one
kids.
time, my cousin's grandfather was like an ace pilot, and he went to the Smithsonian or something and got in the like simulator, because his actual plane was in the Smithsonian that he flew in.
Dude,
he got in the simulator, and he just sat down and turned everything on and like took the plane off like he had just stepped right back in after like a time machine. Like he just knew exactly what to do, even though he was an old ass man. It was crazy.
They talk about in this like that, even down to the same thing where like the Japanese torpedoes like that you fired from a plane were so much better than the Americans.
Yeah.
And like I guess in the Battle of Midway, of the, I can't remember the exact number, like 70 or 90 or however many like torpedo planes they fired, only 4 made it back.
That's so crazy.
And it's just like,
That's so crazy.
so it's also just wild to be like, it's authenticated by people that actually flew, and it's like, so like the 3 people,
Those
that made
guys,
it
yeah.
back from all of those things. I didn't realize that air, like flying mortality rates, like
Oh, terrible. If you were a pilot, World War I, definitely dead.
Dude.
World War II, bad. Especially if you were in bombers. For most of the war, bomber pilots,
They used
it was
to like
rough.
get pilots to like hang out with each other and like get to know each other's wives so that they could like take over for each other's families.
I literally, heard that the key parties originated from that because the mortality rate was so high that they like made sure that like if something happens to me, you take care of my wife. So that was the article about that. Kind of cool to get a whole new medium in there with games.
Dude,
And then-
I read on Wikipedia literally that at Skywalker Ranch, wherever they were making it, the game designer was like working on his computer and he heard like two people talking over his shoulder about like what he was working on, and he looked behind him and it was fucking George and Steven. And he found out that Steven Spielberg like played the game and loved it.
There is like a type of a sim, like my dad, who is not a gamer at all, like had Microsoft Flight Simulator.
A
like,
lot of dads did when that came out. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was because video games didn't have a stigma back then, or this was like so new. But somehow, when it tied to like military history or flying, I guess in general, people got behind that in a way that
My first PC game that my dad bought me was Das Boot. You're literally a sub captain.
Same vibe, yeah.
And it's the exact same thing, except you're underwater.
Microsoft Flight Simulator kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Like, where you're like, oh, this is not a video game. This is actually a quite calibrated.
Oh, yeah. And sit there and tell me all about it. It's like, all right, so what you're doing
instrument.
here. I'm like,
yeah.
Same
Gran
vibe.
Turismo dads. Yeah. You're out there. I know you're out there.
And then the other article was this Inside ILM. It was an article on the effects of Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Famously amazing.
which is just like such a tight movie.
That scene of that fucking gun floating around the kitchen where they're like in the sink is like the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Dude, they talked about like they talked about that a lot, but like this movie, they spent like 2.5 years to just doing the effects work after
Yeah,
they
no
filmed
doubt.
it. And it's like blue screen plus animation. They wanted to do one, they were like instead of locking off the camera, they wanted to have a moving camera. And instead of what you normally do when you blend things, which hadn't even been done that much, is like you sort of do it around animation and then you just make the live action work for it. And they're like, no, we're going to shoot this like a live action movie and then animation will work around it. I didn't realize that how animation works is, in film it's 24 frames a second, but the like animation, they basically keep the same image for 3 frames.
Is it on threes?
Yeah.
In Roger Rabbit?
No, in most animation it's 3s. Roger Rabbit, they did a new animation for every frame.
It's on
is
ones?
a new picture.
That's ridiculous. Well, they probably had to, like, because the fucking entire frame would shift.
Yeah, they were like, normally you get what they call a staccato stroboscopic look in animation because that's when you do it in 3s. But they were like, no, you can't. We're not going to do that. So it's going to be as many frames.
The
as
way
else.
I always understood it was that American animation, maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong, but I remember it being that American animation is usually on 2s and that Japanese animation is on 3s, and that's why anime has always kind of had like a slightly different character to it than American animation. But that's just something that's just completely apocryphal for me. Don't worry about fact checking that one because I don't care.
They were talking about how the sets were all, I think they said 19 feet in the air because they just like had to put holes and stuff in the bottom. Like the gun that the weasels are holding is like moved around the room. They had to shoot that. They shot every scene like so many times in so many different ways. And like that, it was just, they just shot like the whole scene with just the guns floating.
Yeah.
And they had to like perfectly do it. And that was the way they could like fit stuff around.
No reason for them to hold real guns, by the way. Like,
You don't have to, but that scene always looks so interesting because they do that. It's like,
of course.
Like, I bet if you asked them, they were like, yes, you do. You have to do that. If you want it to look good, like you see real people using cartoon stuff, there's no way they weren't going to do the
Bob
reverse.
Zemeckis has the juice. The guy knows what he's doing. He's made a couple good movies, I would say.
Then they were just talking about a couple other things, like certain scenes that were tough, where like the ink and paint club was difficult because they were like, that whole thing is like smoky. It's like a smoky bar, and putting in animated characters and having to like make smoke for them to fit with the live action stuff was like particularly difficult. And they had to like figure out how to do that. And then they were talking about what is split framing, which I think is, based on this description, it's a newer thing where it's like, you had blue screen where you like shoot different plates and you put them together, but splitting is where you basically have like plates, but then like a third of the frame is the plate and you shoot it in another way so that you can still have things happening,
but you
can cover it with like another thing. Like when Jessica Rabbit is like futzing with the guy's face in that scene or with the tie and stuff, it's like another one that you have to shoot multiple times, and some of which involve a human hand doing the things, some of which can be animated over with Jessica's hand.
It's like a million references, a million versions, yeah.
Some of which you have to just shoot it as close as possible and literally just stitch it out and hope that it overlays it so you have nothing. And it's like the idea that, they basically had to shoot this movie thrice at least for stuff because of all the different elements. It's sick. I mean, if you do these kind of shoots, you like know that you have to do this, but I'm assuming at the time, based on that, they have a guy from the movie explaining how all this works. It's like,
never turn your nose up at fucking Adobe Premiere ever again.
This is
just amazing.
Just the month after the last one I read, right?
Yeah.
The effects between this and even fucking Willow are like
an evolution.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is doing something.
Not an evolution. I guess it's like
there's like not
everything is like bespoke.
Now, really.
They're like making bespoke solutions that then would become the industry standard.
I mean, that's what ILM. That's their whole vibe.
Is there a movie that looks better than Roger Rabbit that does the thing that Roger Rabbit does?
I mean, let's be real. Roger Rabbit walked, so Cool World could have a man fuck a cartoon.
Hey, listen, Cool World. Like, let's be real. Cool World is a better movie than Roger Rabbit.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I would rather watch Cool World,
but a man does have sex with a cartoon.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that happens.
And it's Ralph Bakshi who's the fucking man. It does not look as good as Roger Rabbit. And Roger Rabbit's a fucking 10. Let's not
a phenomenal film. Still to this day looks amazing. Incredible.
A great double feature with Chinatown, by the way.
You know what? Strangely enough, yes, I agree with that.
Really similar movies in a lot of ways, weirdly. Yeah. Anyway, is that you?
That's it.
What about you?
Well, first off, we go to one of my favorite movies of all time, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
We are once again revisiting with roughly the exact same article as last time, except last time it was a few paragraphs. This time it's a full article, except it tells you the exact same information, where they're filming and how it's basically just a press release. It's like they are at it again.
That's exactly why I gave you this, is because I wanted you to be like, I think I just read a full page ad in this magazine.
The exact same thing, except now they have the entire cast. So they add additional cast members and they say, oh, the woman who plays Elsa is actually in these other movies you probably know. Well, last time it was just like, including this actress who plays Elsa, right? And then it's like, also included are the villains. And it just straight up is like this evil SS officer. I'm like, okay, they're just dropping that information.
I guess like in the pre-IMDb era, or like just trying to be like, hey, a person that you might not know because they're not in the trailer or whatever, like they're also in this.
Can we do a little iJock Box mini podcast right now? Indiana Jones Old Canon Book Club.
How many books have?
Do you just want to talk about Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, the greatest point-and-click game ever made?
I didn't. I will tip my hat to it because you're right. It's a fucking great video game.
Great.
I watched Dial of Destiny for a second time, and I wasn't mad at like I was the first time. And it was I have
yet to see it.
It was an enjoyable experience, and that's right, Jesse. I did buy the 4K Blu-ray. So if you want to watch it,
you know what? Sign me up.
Watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and the best, like where the effect is going to play as good as possible. Come with me, and you'll see.
What if we got tacos?
Done.
And like a few drinks.
Yeah.
Call it a night.
And just had a good night regardless of what.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Dial of Destiny, worth a revisit without the weird sense of why did they make this? Why did they trot everybody out to make this movie, and just enjoy the 7? You know? That's my advice for you.
You know what? I might give it it's like a movie that my biggest critique is that, like, why did you do this?
Why did this occur?
And there's some pacing issues, but like, it's not. It reminds me of like the final Bond movie where I was like, "There's something." Hold on, like obviously there's some stuff that I don't love, but I'm like, you like,
It's a real movie.
like, there was almost
It's
something
it's
here.
a real movie. The Dial of Destiny is not like a fucking fucked up Disney screenplay. It's like a real.
I kind of like wish, like, I'm like, if we could just like eliminate a couple characters and subplots, let it
Not
breathe
even
a little
that.
bit. Like, this could have been a good, sweet movie.
If it was 1992 and it was
And
like
let's
a
not
comic
do
book,
any fucking close-ups on young Harrison Ford, because other than those close-ups, I'm like, ooh, we're getting like good.
yeah, I honestly felt like.
But
they
when you're
cleaned
gonna
it
have
up.
like you're a young Harrison Ford face close-up when you're like,
Yeah.
I feel like they cleaned up the effects.
it's
a little
better
bit.
than
I need to see this
Tron.
film. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
it's good. It's not Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Look, as
It's
long
not
as it's not
The Force Awakens.
Space Alien one, I'm fine.
No, and honestly, that movie is just like weird. There's no way around it. That movie is like fucking weird. That movie is not just like a good movie that I don't like. It is just a fucking weird movie.
Isn't that
Strange
where the
film.
quote came from? Where Steven Spielberg's like, George Lucas just kept wanting to put stuff, and I'm like, all right, man,
Yeah.
sure.
And it's all in there. Dial of Destiny, it's like, if it was 1992, like I said, if there was like an Indiana Jones comic book coming out, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade vibes are like still in the air. We
Sure.
still love Indy as like a modern guy who we go see movies of. And this came out and there was no like, this is the last Indiana Jones story. And it was just like a cool adult story about.
I mean, the problem is we did, like, Last Crusade, they literally named it Last Crusade, and they ride off into the sunset at the end. Like, some things they should have just left alone,
I'm just
but
saying,
whatever.
like, if we didn't have it have to be the last Indiana
Sure.
Jones movie in 2023.
I just think of like The Mummy as a perfect
Love it.
sequel series.
Yeah.
All right, the first movie.
The first two are
There's-
the
The
first two are
sequel
fun.
is literally the video game Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Go back, watch it.
it's
It
the
is-
Jurassic
it
Park
is,
The
like,
Lost World.
Crazy how similar it is, but also like, I honestly think it's like a third act change from like also being a great movie. Like, there's
Mummy
a lot
2?
to like in Mummy 2.
I like Mummy 2.
Third act is nonsense.
It's
but, like,
literally
it
The
starts
Lost
great.
World.
It starts
It's
very
literally
good.
The Lost World.
It's really an interesting.
Why? But yeah,
Actually,
it's good.
that's a great one too. Lost World. There's more that I think needs to be changed with Lost World, but there are some sequences where you're like, so you
If it
had
were-
it? You had it again?
If it were any other director, if it was the first one and it was just this movie,
Oh, I guess it's because like Steven Spielberg, even when he misses,
it's
still,
it's BioShock.
Still good.
It's BioShock where like BioShock 1 blew your fucking dick off because you never seen an Ayn Rand game.
Right.
You never seen a scary Art Deco.
Then BioShock 2. You're right. This is very good.
BioShock 2 is a
Lost
fucking
World though is like the like message is like dumber. The villains are like cartoonier. They don't like
because the
nobody's that
beautiful-
cartoony in the first
because
one.
the beautiful big idea is done in the first movie, and then you
Right.
go, what else is in this world?
But
Right.
there are sequences. Oh, and the T-Rex thing doesn't make any fucking sense. But
I love it.
the sequences
Yeah.
are like the camper and stuff.
Dude,
is like,
that is
It's so
amazing.
harrowing.
The cast is amazing. The dude from that like kind of older, like schlubby dude who's in there, who's like in the mix with them. I forget what his name is, but he's like an HBO kind of actor, and he's in there with Vince Vaughn and Jeff Goldblum for like half the movie.
Boy, I don't remember who you're talking about at all.
Julianne Moore. It's good. It's just Jurassic Park 1 already exists, so the surprise of really good-looking dinosaurs. Like, can you imagine the Stegosaurus scene from the like beginning of that movie if you'd never seen a dinosaur on film before?
Sure.
How amazing it would look. BioShock 2.
I just want to say that movie was so important to just dinosaurs, but also the canon of Jurassic Park, as we all know, was a book before.
Yeah.
That movie, literally, it'd be like if Game of Thrones was so successful, it permanently changed the way George R.R. Martin wrote the rest of the books.
Yeah.
Same vibe. This is the movie. Jeff Goldblum's character dies in the book, y'all.
Yeah.
And then they rewrote him back into
brought him back.
existence
Yeah.
for the next book.
Does he get killed by the T-Rex in the?
Yeah, he dies in the book.
He's
But
not
they,
in the
like,
story anymore.
Muldoon, the hunter, he lives in the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, they literally.
It's also like different. Like other things occur. Like they see different dinosaurs at parts.
Sure.
It's different.
But like then they made the sequel, and the sequel literally is like he somehow survived his wounds.
yeah.
Like he lives. He gets airlifted out in the movie. Like he survives the movie.
Yeah,
Muldoon?
No. I mean,
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah.
book,
Yeah. But he does not.
Dead,
He does
very
not
dead in the book.
yeah.
damn.
That was the easiest book report I ever did. It was a compare and contrast. That's how I got. I don't know what grade I was in, but I nailed that book report.
Then he
it
like
was great.
has they get some weird characterization because then he has the like going from fun side character to has to be the main character, so he like changes and like
Anyway,
whatever.
aside from the pressure, Indiana Jones 5 is quite enjoyable.
The just to give you a quick summation of some of this stuff in here, it literally is like, thus, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade began production May 16th, 1988, in Almeria, Spain, with Harrison Ford recreating the role of adventurer and archaeologist Indiana Jones, complete with leather jacket, brown fedora, and bullwhip at his side.
The Venice sequence in that movie is unbelievable.
It's like next they moved to Venice, Italy.
It's literally perfect. It is perfect.
Even though the first one, I think, is the superior film, I unabashedly have watched the third movie more times than any of the other ones combined.
My favorite one is the second one, and I know it's the worst one.
I love him and Sean Connery together.
Of the three.
I love when he's like, they're shooting. And he's like, it happens to me all the time, Dad.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Big fan. But yeah, it just keeps going on and just keeps hyping up the movie. And, you know, it literally just says at the end, as it goes through all the cast, and then it finally ends with, without a doubt, one of the most exciting elements in the casting is Oscar winner Sean Connery as Indiana Jones' father. And then it just completely moves on.
Yeah.
It does not say anything about him. It's just as like, the romantic and heroic Indiana Jones experiences an incredible adventure and tests his physical and emotional willpower. Every other person in here, it goes through, like Elsa, it talks about, you know, how she was, Allison Duty is a Bond girl from View to Kill and also was in A Prayer for the Dying. It just goes through this huge list,
God.
but does not.
Whoa, you just fucked my brain up.
I didn't realize that till I read this either.
A View to a Kill. Holy shit. I always wondered why I was like, who is that? That is so fucked up. Thank you. Wow.
It's crazy because it just, all the famous actors, I guess.
Who do they get to write this? Is the
press
problem with
release.
these articles like they
It's a
just
press
got like
release.
people that just like work for?
I don't know. I don't know how big the staff of this is.
Except for
it could be three guys.
Except for the fucking article that about the party, the 10-year anniversary, was written so interestingly, and
They
like
probably hired
with
somebody to go. They probably literally paid a journalist.
Oh, he was okay. Yeah, it was like
That was issue 1, right?
Yeah, and
so
also,
they definitely.
there's a part 2 of the Warwick Davis interview in this issue as well. But we don't. I mean, that's not that much we need to know about Willow. We can't do 3 on Willow.
Sure. My second article was actually super interesting, but something we all know and I think hyper take for granted.
Yeah.
This was foreign Star Wars and how to get the collectibles.
The Star Wars Collector's Corner with Jesse Cox.
Yeah, we're back. We're back, baby.
Cox's Collector's Corner.
And this time they were talking about getting collectibles from overseas or foreign collectibles and the market. And they say kind of things we already know, which is 1, it's hard to get things from overseas.
Kind of like when you were talking about Japan last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they go back to Japan. They're like, it's very hard to get stuff overseas. 2, be careful if you're getting stuff from overseas. Because it turns out a lot of Star Wars products were probably made in China and then reboxed. So you're literally paying for the exact same product, just with a different logo.
Right, because there's
Interesting.
no like manufacturing here,
Right.
That's going to do mass toys.
Yeah. And they're like, so it's probably the same thing. So be careful. I thought that was interesting to include as a, hey, be wary. These Star Wars things are probably made in Hong Kong. And yeah, they were redistributed by Kenner.
It's funny because like as much as we're talking about and dogging on this magazine for being like a PR boost, they would never say this shit in an official Star Wars magazine.
Right. Today, never. Not once.
They would never
Yeah.
be like, try to save some money.
They also have, if you remember the collectors, last time there was
Dude, they have 2 pages of merch now on
Yeah.
that you can
They
mail
got
in
Tucker
for.
merch, bro.
They had the Intergalactic Trading Company last time was in that wanted ad section, and they talked to Sue Cromwell and Mike Cott, who are the authors of the official price guide for Star Trek and Star Wars collectibles, and they say all sorts of tips. But the thing that I want to read, which I thought was interesting, I don't know what this means, and I'm blown away by this. So they say, for instance, the Anakin Skywalker figure by Kenner was available in the U.S. only a proof of purchase offer from Sears mail order catalog. And a figure that looks like this was also released in the UK, and that figure you could get for probably $20 to $25, but the figure packaging from the UK is $40. Anakin
What?
Skywalker?
Yeah, like from
What did Anakin Skywalker look like?
that old man, that like weird old man, maybe.
What was it
I
called?
guess because this is
An
88.
Anakin Skywalker Sears figure?
Yeah, I guess because this is 88, it would be old man outside the suit.
That weird old guy.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what that would look like, but I was fascinated by this. I was like, I would love to know what they think that is. And then,
So weird.
yeah, I was like, Anakin, that's crazy. Then they talk about how
Do they say his name
Anakin's right. They're like,
in the movies? Do they say it?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
remember.
they didn't.
I don't remember
He
them
calls him
saying
father.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying it, but maybe they did.
Maybe he does say Anakin in the first movie.
His name was Anakin Skywalker.
I don't think so, though.
No, I don't know. Because by the second movie, he's Darth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very weird. But
It has to. I can't get any. Like, I'm seeing. It is like.
That old man.
so
I
it's probably
can't tell
the
if this is
not
that
Force Ghost
one.
version of him while he's standing there at the end.
Yeah.
Probably. They do talk about then how there are different versions of the Death Star and how there is one Death Star that is more plasticky, but there's also a Palatoid Death Star, and the Palatoid Death Star is not like the Kenner Death Star. While it does have the trash compactor and the turret gun, it isn't a full Death Star shape. It's a half Death Star, but made out of cardboard. I was like, that's a weird.
That feels like some like G.I. Joe playset nonsense. Like those,
Yeah.
like, shitty ones that you like build out of the box.
Then they bring up the comics that are the British ones.
The ones that we like read.
Yep.
Yep.
And then they go to Japan and they say, Japan has some of the coolest stuff. They've got battery operated R2D2s. They've got full ass TIE fighters you can do cool stuff with. Basically, they hype up Japan, but then say, Japanese prices are super expensive. You're going to try to order from Japan. Again, reminder.
Just import prices.
Yeah. But what's crazy is they talk about how they have a 6-inch Darth Vader manufactured in Takara, Japan, costing the equivalent of $14. And by today's standards, that's so
a
quaint.
great deal.
That's so
Yeah, that's
quaint.
a great deal.
Yeah. So fascinating article, but yeah, it just says be careful when you collect foreign memorabilia because it may in fact not be foreign and just made to look that way, which I think says a lot about the time period.
That scam's still running today.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Craziness.
But at least now people are aware of it.
yeah.
And back then, you had a newsletter had to warn you.
We are witnessing the birth of Star Wars like collection scene in
Yeah.
real time. It's really cool. It's neat.
Yep.
But that, my friends, is the fall 1988 issue of the Star Wars Insider.
Yeah.
The 5th ever issue of it. It's actually still called the Lucasfilm Fan. It will be for a very long time. We got like 18 more episodes before we're at the
Eventually,
actual Star Wars.
Lucasfilm.
How you gonna beat Zach McCracken?
I think the films kind of pan out, and then it becomes Lucas Arts.
Yeah.
Is what they focus on.
Yeah, like the games and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that because it's a lot of Star Wars stuff too.
I would
like-
love that if that's the case for the rest of this.
Yeah, so I don't know. And there's TV shows, and like there's like Droids TV show, and the Ewok Adventures, and the Young Indiana Jones.
I loved Young Indiana
Remember
Jones.
the one Young
I watched
Indiana
the shit out of
Jones
that.
where Harrison
I never
Ford's in
watched
it,
it.
and he's old, and he plays a saxophone, and a house collapses.
I
Indiana
love that
Jones.
show.
Harrison Ford.
Young
in the
Indiana
90s is
Jones was
Indiana
great.
Jones.
It was a great show. That was super fun.
He has a beard. It's wild.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be him older, or is it like a fun cameo?
No, it's like a flash forward to like current Indiana Jones.
wild.
It's crazy. And that show's actually really good.
I loved that show.
My professor, my screenwriting professor at Cal State Fullerton worked on that show, and she used to talk about it all the time. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Inside the Insider, number 5, all done. Goodbye, you fucking cowboys.
Bye. Peace.
All right, SWOCBC, you're clear for landing. Inside the Insider is edited by Alex Del Campo and Alex Fasciani. The theme song is Jupiter, Bringer of Jollity by Gustav Holst. Thanks for listening. SWOCBC episode 15, Inside the Insider, has been activated. Commence pre-launch sequence. Issue 6, you are clear for takeoff. Original publication date of winter 1989. This is Control. Thanks for listening.
Are you guys ready to go inside the Insider? Welcome back to
Who
Inside
is the Insider? We've been inside this
Russell
person
Crowe is the Insider.
so much.
Yeah, we've been inside Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
frequently.
Russell Crowe's the Insider. Today we're going inside George Lucas. Welcome back to the show, episode number 6, winter 1989. We are past the Willows. We are past the Tuckers for the most part. on the cover is not a movie that doesn't have Star Wars in it. It says Star Wars on the cover. George Lucas, the future of Star Wars. That's exciting.
It's exciting. It's also like 3 sentences.
Look,
Yeah.
in 1989, that probably ruled. You know what I mean? Think about how many sentences less there were per day in 1989. Just think about that.
What?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As always, I'm going to start
Damn,
off
dude.
this issue of the Star Wars Insider with a couple letters from this time period to just kind of set the tone of where fans' heads were at the time.
Oh boy.
Where Lucasfilm approved fans were at.
Possible employees, fans were at.
This is the fan forum. This one's called Comments. It's from Martine from France. And they said, oh, I'm sorry. I wrote this is not that. This is by Philip from Australia. I just had to write to try and convey my excitement without being too vocal. Being an avid Star Wars fan for years and years since I was 5 in 1977, I have collected bits and pieces from the trilogy and have had many memories which I shall never forget. I must congratulate you on an exemplary effort in bringing us, the fans, closer to that galaxy which is far, far away, as well as other numerous movies, Raiders, Ewok Adventures, and Willow, that make Lucasfilm so special and unique. Every page from issue 1 through 4 was magical. I love the interviews with Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill, Warwick Davis, and all the insightful information on Willow, which I look forward to seeing. As for future interviews, I would greatly appreciate one with Carrie Fisher on her opinion of Star Wars, past, present, and future, and one with Harrison Ford on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I hope to enjoy many years of being part of the magic of Star Wars. May the Force be with you.
This must be because what we're talking about, like with different countries, different release things.
Yeah, they
it's like,
hadn't
it's
had
out,
it
but I
there.
guess in Australia it's like not out yet.
What? Indiana Jones?
No, Willow.
He's like, I look forward to seeing Willow, and it's like, but it's been out for
Oh, right. It's
you're in
1989.
Australia.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's interesting to me is that they mentioned the Ewok Adventures in this as if they saw it in this magazine. But I have read every issue of this magazine that has been published so far, and I see nothing about the Ewok Adventures. Do you remember that?
No, but I also skip half of
don't-
it.
I'm also like curious.
I don't think I would have let that by.
about reception. Like no one talks about Ewok Adventures, so it might have been a evolutionary dead end.
It
Like
got a sequel. There were 2.
okay, they don't talk about like the books in this.
No, I know, but the Ewok Adventures a movie. There's a TV movie, and they're like, I loved hearing about it, and I'm like, what? Where did you hear about it? Maybe we'll get it soon.
Maybe he was in an interview and Lucas was like, we're doing an Ewok adventure show.
There's other stuff like in the George Lucas interview that I didn't even know about or hear about before. So
Interesting. Well, this is interesting to me also just because it seems like they're like done talking about, just based on how these letters have been sort of like a sort of secret wink as to what they're going to be talking about in the issues. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like we're done with like Lucasfilm and we're going to refocus back on Star Wars for a minute. I think that's what's going to happen because what year did Heir to the Empire come out? 91?
Yeah, 90 something.
Yeah, so like we're close. It's winter 89 right now. So, you know, we could be getting back to that point where they're starting to
They're planning on like
Star
something's
Wars,
coming.
yeah, Star Wars stuff is occurring again, I think. I think maybe we're seeing a little bit more of a refocus on the Star
But
Wars.
also, there isn't a lot coming out of the studio right now that hasn't already come. Like Indiana Jones is it for a while from Lucas.
That's true.
well, and like what month is this? Like they are blockbuster season. Like once the movies have come out, like they don't have a new hit movie every month. So
No,
it's
yeah.
like-
That's like every 3 years they come out with a movie, right?
yeah.
So that's the first letter I have. The second one is crazy. It's from Nicole. I think that's
Dude,
what that-
is this the Vader syndrome?
Yeah,
one?
yeah. It's called Vader syndrome. This is absolutely crazy, and I just thought you guys need to hear this because it's really
This
interesting.
is really interesting.
While watching the September 21st edition of ABC's Home series, they addressed a very important issue with regards to a situation called the Darth Vader syndrome. This syndrome is related to the fear that young children have towards firefighters during rescue in a burning home. The helmet frightens young children that relate to the appearance and breathing sound of the oxygen tanks of this very dark figure to the character of Darth Vader. Young children should be taken to visit their neighborhood fire stations and become familiar with the suit that a fireman must wear during a fire and rescue procedure. To do so could save countless lives of young children that make this fearful and false association to the evil fictional character.
This is like wild. I am also curious, like, how often is this really an issue? Like, did it happen a couple times and they're like blowing it up? Or is it like really that big of an issue? Because they're like, it could save countless lives. And I'm like, really? Or would it save like 3 lives?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how big of a problem this was. I didn't like go deep into it, but you know, I just thought that was really interesting that like Vader was at the center of like the national consciousness in such a way that people were coming up with these sort of things like kids are mistaking firefighters for Vader and running away from them in a fire because they think Vader is coming after them in a fiery house. And I'm like, that sounds like the notion of that is horrible to me, right? It's like awful. But like, don't you think I would have heard? I feel like I would have heard about that.
Yeah, it's also a little wild because like we played firefighters as a kid. Like, I don't know, you like know what a firefighter looks like as a kid, or maybe after this. Kind of, I don't know why it reminds me of Back to the Future, where he like shows up and it's just
From the
like,
planet Vulcan.
I did some quick research just by the way. Lucasfilm during the 90s and until episode 1 really had only done Radioland Murders, which came out in 94, and Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Like, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade was like their big thing. And then they kind of went silent in the 90s.
Lucasfilm?
Yeah.
Were they still doing like their other ventures?
I think they were prepping for episode 1.
But like, were they not still doing like THX? Like, they're like other 7 different companies that were doing like.
Oh yeah, ILM and THX and all those different things. They existed, but I think Lucasfilm was just doing its own, like movie wise, because they had LucasArts and they were making games in the 90s. They made a lot of games in the 90s, but like the film side,
Like George's like baby, his like film.
yeah, it
production
wasn't pumping
side
out
wasn't-
stuff then. But yeah, I guess that's why, as a fanzine like this, they wouldn't start talking about the future. Gonna be a lot of cool stuff. I mean, they mentioned games. There's gonna be games and things, but you know, it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Compared to
Wow. So apparently this was like a real thing in the 80s, this Darth Vader syndrome. I'm sorry. I started reading about it and I'm just like, dude, there's like accounts of firefighters like going in and finding kids hiding in the closet who didn't want to come with them because they looked like Darth Vader.
Will you look up 1980s fire suit or firefighter outfit? Because maybe that's the clue.
It's this. Some of them have black jackets, even.
Also, like when it's fire and they're running in, like it might
It kind of, I see the Vaderness of it.
with the masks on too. It really.
Yeah, like Vader has those big bulby eyes and this black with the yellow, right? This looks like Vader, kind of, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have the same vibe as a modern fire suit, which is a lot of reflective things and it's a yellowish outfit. Yeah, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, like absolutely, especially the Soviet firemen, but they all just kind of look like Darth Vader. It's pretty crazy, pretty kind of crazy. But I just thought that was super crazy. And then the other thing that I brought was, the brownies from Willow that we were talking about in the ILM thing, about those little people that they filmed on the plates, and then they like move the cameras with like synchronization so that they could like
The Cleveland Brownies.
yeah, they could like make these little people look really small.
That's what they are.
So Kevin Pollock, you know who that is?
The actor Kevin Pollock?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that time that I was so near my house, they have like food trucks show up every once in a while. And I was just behind him in line and we had like a 20-minute conversation waiting for food. And the thing is, it was him in that hat he always wears.
Yeah.
Just like chilling. He was by himself. He was like, I just saw some food trucks. I figured I'd get dinner. I was like, cool. Dude's chill as hell.
Just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So Kevin Pollock played one of the 2 brownies in the movie. He's
Amazing.
He's like one of the main guys. And so there's an interview with him, and there's not that much to it. It's like a pretty short interview, but I did want to read some exchanges just because I just thought it was funny. So they said, Kevin, how did you get the role of Rule the Brownie in Willow? And he said, well, they need a couple of 9-inch tall guys who had been known in the business as small leading men, and they got the word out. Apparently, there weren't too many people of my stature who needed the work. Most of the people my size had work or were just financially independent.
Actually, in reality, Rick Overton had been hired to play Fran Jane, and he had worked with Ron Howard before. Ron Howard asked him if there was anyone else he would feel good working with, since these two brownies would need to improvise together, and he and I had just finished a film called $1 Million Mystery, and he suggested me to a few other guys. I think they ended up looking at 5 of us. Each one of us would go into this room and be put on camera with Rick reading from the script and also improvising. So we did all that, and they sent the tapes to Ron and George in London, and they chose me. And Ron made it clear that Rick and I were chosen because of our abilities to improvise. I think physically we played well off each other because of our size difference. And then they said, what was your impression when you learned you were going to be playing a 9-inch tall guy? And he said, I thought, it's just my luck. I finally get to be in a movie directed by Ron Howard and produced by George Lucas, and nobody will see me because I'm 9 inches tall. But once it became clear that we would have close-ups and we wouldn't just be 9 inches crawling across the screen, I felt better. It's kind of easy to put your silly ego aside when you do get an amazing opportunity like Willow. It's like the opposite of Hot Ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy is just fluffing this shit. So they said also, where is it? Did you like that mouse head that you were wearing? And he said, I thought that the hat I wore was a natural for Halloween. I desperately tried to get that hat, but it's in the Lucasfilm archives with Yoda and everything else. I have no idea. It's just funny to me. I had no idea that Kevin Pollock, of all people, was in Willow. I've seen Willow.
Sure.
It never occurred to me that it would be Kevin Pollock in that context. It's just funny to me that Kevin Pollock would have like stories to tell about Willow and that he's in Willow. Did anything humorous happen while you were shooting? Well, the day we got the whole crew to whistle the theme for the Andy Griffith Show for Ron was fun. I said, yeah, I bet he's never heard that before, but we had a lot of fun with both Ron and George. Like, just what a weird set this probably was.
Dude, when I was reading the other stuff, like, it really sounded like it was so much fucking fun to make. Like, everybody was like buds, and it was like summer camp.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like dudes hanging out and being goofy because it was actually just fun to make movies still.
I mean, that's the dream, right? Just like be on set with your friends and create something fun.
That's the Sandler dream.
Yeah.
He figured it out.
Even Willow, like some Sandler movies, don't necessarily work all the time, but
just got to let go.
Yeah.
It's fun, and at least in my experience, especially stuff that has action is fun because like when you have action sequences, there's a lot of like prep for that naturally. Mm-hmm. And so that like and everybody kind of wants to watch. So it bakes in even more like camaraderie, like hangout. Everyone's like, well, nowadays with their, like they film it and stuff. And so it just like, I don't know, it like makes for shared fun experiences.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you guys on set when you film. I get it. I mean, even when we did that, God, it's so old. The Wild West Zelda thing in like 2012.
The game station one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like chilling. Like that was a great weekend.
It feels great to like make film and just everybody has a little job. It feels like a little village. It's good. Yep. But yeah, it's just funny to imagine Kevin Pollock being there. I don't know.
Willow is like, what is it? Like an unlikely hero? That's what they like subtitled it or something, or at least in the interview. And it's like Kevin Pollock, an unlikely cast in that movie.
Yeah. Especially considering from that point on, again, he has that like either a pink hat or like a faded yellow. He always just has the same hat on forever. And the fact that I saw him in the wild with that hat, you're just like,
bizarre.
This is your thing, I guess.
I get it because when I was young, I had like whatever hats like people bought for me. I've had the same one cap now for like 10 years because I don't buy them. Mm-hmm. And even that one, the like holes to plug in are falling off. Like it's like, I get it. You're like, no, this is my hat. I don't need another one.
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting to see from like, a genuine celebrity.
I'm vibing it out. What do you guys got?
I got exclusive interview with George Lucas.
Oh.
Which is pretty interesting. Which I don't know if you like just gave this to me because I have like a weird relationship with how I feel about George Lucas or not. But this was actually a pretty cool interview. So they got to like go to Skywalker Ranch to do like an exclusive interview with him. I did not I know that like Skywalker Ranch was a tight place. I didn't realize it was 3,000 acres.
Yeah, it's big.
Disneyland is 500 acres. This is 6 times Disneyland. Like, that's wild.
I gotta imagine it's mostly storage space for like a bunch of crazy bullshit, but there's probably like several studios on the campus as well, right?
Yeah, it's sick. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it was just kind of cool. Like it was one of the ones like sort of like fluffy things where they just kind of like jumped around a lot, but because they jumped around a lot from question, you know, like some interviews are like almost a conversation where you're like, my next question will logically follow that.
Right.
Here it's like this, a completely other thing, where it almost feels like a high schooler like reading questions. But I mean, it is this magazine.
Yeah, they probably had like, here are the 6 questions you will ask.
The interesting one was they're like, you know, what aspect of filmmaking do you like the most? And he was talking about like editing is his favorite part of it, because it is the only process in the film where your work makes a movie.
Right.
Like
That's interesting. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Where like you by that point you have all of the raw material and now you're plugging it in and immediately like
At the end, a movie comes out.
yeah, writing it, no, shooting it, no. And he later talks about like writing is a rough aspect of it that he like struggles with, and so but like
Yeah, no
I believe
shit.
that.
Yeah, no shit, George.
yeah, so editing is like and it's like what he started work as, and it's what he loved. And they were like, if you were not, you know, in filmmaking, what would you have done? He's like, I don't know, maybe an architect, but I'm pretty sure ultimately, no matter what, I would have been like an editor. At this point, he had stopped directing, and they were like, will you ever direct again? And he was like, no. He's like, I stopped, and I just started producing. And he's like, I'll probably go back at some point, but he was like, they're just so different, and they're both fun. But he was like, directing is like being a player on a team, and then producing is like being the coach. And he's just sort of like in the coaching role is like where he's at, but he'll probably go again. But he was also talking about, he's like, if I go back to direct, he wouldn't direct like a star. He's like, the movies that I would direct are like different than those. Like,
Did he direct Red Tails?
Yes.
Or did he
Yeah.
produce Red Tails?
No, he directed that. He directed THX 1138, American Graffiti, Star Wars.
Right.
Then nothing till 1999 when he directed Star Wars
Episode
1, 2, and 3.
And then 2012 was Red Tails?
Oh, and then no, he did not direct Red Tails. I thought he did.
Maybe just produced.
Yeah, it's directed
I
by
also thought that like he famously did that.
Yeah.
it's directed by Anthony Hemingway.
Interesting.
Don't know who that is.
Of the Hemingways?
Oh my god. My Lando in the Star Cave of Tumbaka just arrived. I just got an Amazon alert.
Dude, hell yes.
Preview for you guys.
Wow.
How exciting.
Thumbaka.
He was. They were asked like, what part of film did he find the most difficult? And he was talking about like getting funding.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was like that. And
Valid
Maybe
answer.
maybe in the 70s.
well, he's like it's tough because that's the beginning of like compromises where like you have a vision and that's when you start making compromises. There's always, and it's like that's the hard part for him. And I totally like gel with that because like whenever I have to like something is changed, even if it's like fine, like pisses me, you know. So like, I get the idea of like I made this vision and I like kind of fell in love with it, and having to compromise on it is a problem. It was interesting because they were like, what project was your greatest personal success? And he was kind of like, it's hard to answer. They're all successes, like in some kind, or he has a lot of stories. But they were like, what's your greatest disappointment? And he was like, More American Graffiti, which I didn't even know existed. But the sequel
It's like
to American
Grease 2,
Graffiti
yeah.
is More American Graffiti. And he was like, it was my biggest disappointment. It was very, very experimental and it didn't really work. And I was like, what the fuck? And I Googled it, and then, yeah, it was like a sequel. How the first one was like a series of like sort of vignettes to like on one night before they go off to college or whatever, graduate is like a thing. It was supposed to be sort of like that, but later revisiting the characters when they're older, and they were like, it was shot in different like formats for different storylines, and also
So weird.
yeah, it was like not
That's like
well received.
That's like the Hotel Chevalier or whatever that movie was called, right? Or no, what's that one called? The Grand Budapest Hotel is like that, where they shoot different parts of the movie in different aspect ratios.
Sure.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
I love that movie, though. Grand
10.
Budapest is great.
That's
Fun fact-
the Ray Fiennes movie.
Yes.
That movie is incredible. But fun fact, More American Graffiti is Ron Howard's last,
Movie.
like, as a credited actor role. Like,
Damn.
So funny.
so it's weird. It was like, wow, is that bad? He quit.
I got to see this.
So
It didn't even lose money.
Yeah, it was like
made like $12 million
on a $2.5 million budget.
There's what's crazy about this though is that they have a you can go online and see the series of films that Lucasfilm made, and yeah, I noticed on there it said American Graffiti 2, like it's like lists franchises, and apparently according to the internet, there's only 4 franchises that Lucasfilm owns.
Indiana Jones.
It was THX, American Graffiti, Star Wars, and Willow.
Oh yeah, Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is
Spielberg.
not-
It's Amblin. Yeah.
Then he talked about Star Wars, and they were like, hey, you talked about having other ones, and like, are you going to go back? And he's like, that's not, I will probably, but he's like, that's not on my mind right now, and that's a whole thing. And they're like, how much of it? And he's like, it's a very rough. He's like, I haven't like really like gone and beat it out, but he was talking about like,
I wonder where it was at.
that like the next ones, he was like, those would be directed by other people. He's like, by like Steven Spielberg or Ron Howard, which he did try to get.
Weirdly,
but yeah,
he did end up directing a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. And so I'm so curious because he didn't talk about it, but I'm like, I am curious like why he did not want to direct a Star Wars movie anymore.
I think he got excited when he did come back to Star Wars for the like way that he was going to make these movies, and for like the idea of like in a sort of like James Cameron way. And I think that the only way that he could have done that was for him to direct it. But I definitely do not think that he was like cinema.
It also like in this, he talks about like what's like fun in the creative and he loves the creative, like producing is one thing, but being creative. And he writes a couple times, but he's like, what he really loves is coming up with a story and then working with writers and that not actually having to do the screenwriting.
Look, that's the Jesse Cox method. Yeah.
And I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. Like I think that like he likes to create, but maybe the minutia of it is like frustrating and not fun. And so he's great at like having an idea, getting people excited about it, whether or not we love when he directs the prequels. Like as a like overseer, he worked well. He like had a system and it was cool. And so like that worked for him. One of the things he was talking about was like, what was some of the best advice you got? Because he was like, some of it was like from Joseph Campbell, just told him to like follow his bliss, and he's like what he's always been doing. And
Definitely what he did. I'll tell you that much.
Well, he was talking about like it might not have made sense. Like people kind of thought it was like the whole idea of Skywalker Ranch and stuff seemed like a little bit like eccentric or crazy, but it was like exactly what he wanted to do and allowed him to like level up what his love in a way and like be like, I have this place and I get to like be around, because I think he really truly loves film. He like loves it. And they were like, what is it about like making film? And he's like, I don't even know that it's like a conscious thing. It's like just what I do. It's like it's like part of me. And
It's
so
just like a man cave that's like so lit that it's like the littest man cave of all time.
Yeah.
It is like, yeah, you live in your love and you keep making it and stuff. And I'm sure that there's a whole, like, it's probably problems with it too. And there's days where it's like, you bring your work home with you. But like,
Hey, listen, George, I got 2 whole shelves of comics in my apartment. I know what it's like.
yeah.
That's
But,
my Skywalker Ranch.
But yeah, he loves it.
So
and
I
it's
tell
like,
my baby, I say, hey, I'm going to go visit Skywalker Ranch for a couple hours. No calls.
So stupid.
Me and Spider-Man hanging out on Skywalker Ranch. Yeah.
let's see. I'm trying to think of what yeah, that's kind of it. I don't know, just cool
It's
stuff.
just like a little profile of him as like a creative guy.
Yeah, it's just interesting. He like likes to oversee stuff, is like also a fan of different mediums. He like loves rides, and they were talking about like
I know he loves games
cool new
too.
rides.
Yeah.
Like, but this was before Indiana Jones ride. But he's like, they were like, "Are you going to do more?" He's like, "I hope so." Like, there's kind of like a possibility about Indiana Jones, but like we'll see if that happens.
It did,
Spoiler.
George.
It did.
Yeah, it did, George.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
I watched a documentary called Fog City Mavericks a long time ago, like maybe when I was in high school or in film school. I can't remember which, but hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was about all these different directors that went up to NorCal and like
just carved out a space for themselves and did things their own way. And it's George Lucas and it's Clint Eastwood and it's Charlie Chaplin. And they all just kind of like went up and made their own little mini Hollywood. And it's just kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to see that he just like did it for fun with his money. It's so much. It's almost like making a museum or something. It's like he contributed to film in pursuing his hobby. He did something. He made something so premium and nice that it actually made filmmaking for everyone better. Like the way he did like Skywalker Ranch, Skywalker Sound, all that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, he really that's why like his excuse with the Carrie Fisher interview is like, I was trying to save filmmaking is like, it's bullshit.
I was
You
not
probably
there
just
for the
wanted to
women. I was
Playboy
just trying
Mansion,
to save,
but like
trying to save filmmaking.
But you like
trying to save motion pictures.
in certain ways, like you were doing that. But and then the other thing was he was just talking about like he knows that like Star Wars was a mega hit because they were talking about like things do well and some things don't work. But he's just grateful for it, and it's like that like probably won't ever happen again. Like that's just doesn't happen, and it's just lucky, and it's like and it's given me the ability to do all of these things. But he's like sort of like conscious about it not being a thing that you can replicate, which is smart because I don't know.
It's humble. It's
a lot of producers that don't have any creativity in them think they can just manufacture
like magic. Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And it like being on the level about that that's just rare and just be grateful that it happens and don't ever try to make that happen was like, wow.
It's tight.
And then my second article was convention listing and like the classifieds, which was there a club or a convention listing in the last one? It's just a list of upcoming conventions around the country, like who's running them, info on like how to reach out to them to like
do a panel or
get
something.
info or to do other stuff. And it's interesting because there's like, it's all over the place. A lot of them take place in, these are like hotel, this is like, I think before.
They probably weren't huge.
Yeah.
There's probably like a couple hundred people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in Albuquerque. Well, I guess they're in Holiday Inn. There's a lot of Holiday Inn conventions.
Shout out to the Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Friendly conventions.
There's a lot of like random, like they're called like like whatever. And it's like Star Trek, Star Wars, other stuff. And they're like special guests are like, oh fuck, where is one that I'm trying to find? But it's like the most random people that show up and it's like, wow, that's kind of a cool guest and that's sweet. And then the classifieds are just more really, really interesting things about like people wanting to sell stuff or they're looking to buy stuff.
Anything good?
Shit, what was I? There was one that was kind of cool. Oh, like Kenner, somebody had like a bunch of the Kenner Star Wars toys, mint condition, unopened, for sale, which 11 years later, like I wonder where the market was for those since they were like such a huge seller around the time. A bunch of people just selling like their fanzines and a bunch of other stuff like that.
I wonder what the deal is with that Boba Fett at this time with the backpack. You know the one?
The like different colored Boba Fett?
It's like the Boba Fett that shoots a missile out of his backpack that got pulled from shelves. I wonder if, because like to me, that's the original like rare Star Wars item.
Sure, I thought you were talking, but I guess they didn't make a variant
like a
holiday special
white,
Boba Fett right away.
Yeah, no, that's like too cool.
Yeah.
But I know there was one that had like a detachable, like it's like a choking hazard that he shot the
That was
missile.
like the prototype.
Yeah, but that like it's
Didn't that not? I think in the toys that made us, they like talked about that where like people thought that was supposed to be there, but then between them advertising and them manufacturing, they took it out, and people were like,
no, 100%. But what I mean is, it was like the first, like, because I know they exist, and it to me is like the first like similar to like the Nintendo World Championships cartridge for Nintendo. It was like the holy grail. Like there actually are very few of these like rare Star Wars collectible. I'm more interested in like when that legend started rather than like, somebody selling one. I doubt they are on here, but I always wonder stuff like that. Like that's a big part of Star Wars fandom is like the legend of like the expensive rare collectibles. And I wonder if we're going to start hearing about stuff like that.
another fun was like a Tucker car brochure reprint that they were selling for $2.50, which is like, how much did it cost to put this classified up? Like, seems like a lot of work, but I guess if the point is like, I want this to go to like a loved house, it kind of makes sense, and this is the place to put it. Then there's like a pen pal section, like people that are putting up what they are selling. Some that are like, hey, we have this like fanzine. Some are Star Wars, some are Star Trek, some are like other random ones. And then some that are just looking for a pen pal. And then
Pen pal. Write to somebody about Star Wars. Interesting.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe of what it would have been like in the 80s, right? Like, you're not communicating via email.
How are you? What's your favorite part of Empire
You're not
Strikes
going to
Back?
meet anyone on a forum.
Yeah.
What do you think Vader meant when he said, I'm your father?
The wanted ones are hilarious because you're like, wanted speeder bike toy for children to ride on. It's like, is that a real thing?
That exists?
Probably.
Or like, somebody's looking for like the Darth Vader cookie jar.
Yo, I remember those.
It's like so specific, but I'm like, was it just like a legit?
Yeah, and you would pull the helmet off and the cookies would go inside. Yeah.
Okay.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Sick.
I want one of those.
I remember seeing it at a Sears.
Hell yeah.
My parents weren't going to buy it, but I remember seeing it at a Sears.
Being like, that'd be so sick if that's where my cookies were at.
That was like 1994.
It probdy was around for a while.
Probably for a while.
And that was after the Blitz.
Yeah.
That was after Star Wars was back. Mm-hmm. What do you got?
Gentlemen, gather your whip and don your hat.
Again?
2 Indiana Joneses.
Yeah.
The first is amazing because it is about collecting Indiana Jones things. And while this is an article that is 3 like lines of paragraphs long,
Sure.
most of it is nonsense because it admits there's not a lot to actually collect out there. And while you go out and find it, you might have to go to sci-fi conventions or comic book stores, and they may or may not have it. And it may seem weird to go to a sci-fi convention to find Indiana Jones, but trust me, it's out there. But the best part about this is the opening. This is how little they had to say. You pull your felt hat over your eyes and try to look as inconspicuous as possible.
Felt.
But you are clearly out of your element. The weight of your Colt revolver and the 12-foot bullwhip on your hip is reassuring. The walkways of the marketplace are packed with strangely garbed people, and the air is filled with cries of competing vendors. In every direction, an exotic merchandise gathered from far corners of the world is displayed. One table in particular is crowded with people. Money quickly changes hands as rare objects are bartered and sold. As you draw near, your eyes focus on the object of your search. With trembling hands, you pick up the box and ask the price. The dealer barks his impatient reply of $75. You hand over the money casually to avoid revealing the true worth of the item. You slip away quietly with the box concealed in your leather jacket. Only when you inspect the prize later do you see that, yes, you found it, a mint condition large-sized Indiana Jones doll for only $75. The preceding scenario could happen at any modern-day convention. That takes up a full section of this.
$75 in 1989?
I guess it's that rare.
Is it like those nice old G.I. Joe ones where it's like...
I think so.
Their clothing was like made out of real fabric and like...
I mean,
it's like
I
an
guess.
American Girl doll, but for boys.
I just think that's crazy that, like... I mean, yeah. That most of this is just...
That's $190 in today's money, by the way.
What I also love this bit because it's like...
How much?
$190.
Yeah, it's a Kenner figure, and they're like, one of the largest collections that you can get is of the Kenner figures and the playsets. Kenner made 8 figures of Raiders of the Lost Ark Indiana Jones. Just these are the names of the 8 figures they created. Marion Ravenwood, obviously. Pollock, the archaeologist. Right? Indiana Jones, of course. Sala, of course.
Yeah.
And then Belloc in the ceremonial robes. Belloc got 2. But then, because Arab swordsman and Indiana Jones in Nazi garb.
Nazi Indiana Jones was an
I was
action
wondering
figure?
if they like made it. The problem with
Does he
Indiana
come with a
Jones,
rocket launcher?
It's weird.
his enemies are Nazis, so how much Nazi stuff are you really want to go all in on?
I mean, World War II toys were a big thing for a long time.
I realized I only
Did
gave you
people,
7 because the other one,
collect-
Nazi mechanic.
Oh.
The guy who fights him in the plane.
Oh, the Nazi mechanic, and then the Arab swordsman is the one he shoots.
Right. So, like, it's all
Did
the
they like
characters.
change the swastika though to be something different? Like,
I don't know. They
Doubt
did,
it,
dude.
Doubt it. Yeah.
In the 80s, I don't think they did.
I don't think they would have. Yeah.
But it's just weird that, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. You can get clothes, you can get a poster,
Nazi
you can get
Indiana
all sorts
Jones.
of things. It's just very weird that there isn't. They admit there's like not a lot out there, and you know, and then they say, "What's the future?" Well, the new movie's coming out, so like, get ready to buy stuff. They just straight up say, buy as much as you. There's gonna be a fair amount of merchandise coming, including computer games, books, posters, etc. When the third chapter is released, interest in all that stuff's going to increase and the price will only go up. So be sure to grab it now. Literally just like go out and buy all the stuff you can.
Okay, so this isn't Indiana Jones as a Nazi, but it's Vogel from Last Crusade, and he absolutely has a Nazi armband on his arm, on the action figure. He fully has one.
Dang.
I mean, yeah, but that's one of those things where
$375. Holy shit. Ooh. Holy shit.
Then, gentlemen, we are granted a sneak peek into Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Like another sneak peek?
Oh, but this time...
Is it
it's
more
with
than IMDb?
The man, the myth, the legend, Sean Connery.
Like an interview?
Yeah, kinda. So, it, again, is one of those things where I think they got Sean Connery on set for about 3 seconds. And they asked him, but most of this is like, Indiana Jones' Last Crusade is getting ready to kick off this May, which I remember seeing this movie in the theater. I was a kid, and I remember being terrified of the snakes in the beginning. Not a fan of that. But everything else was cool. I loved it.
The rats scared the shit out of me in Last Crusade. The rats in the sewers, that fucked me up.
The guy at the end, he's like, yeah! He like ages quickly.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Messed up.
But everything else about that movie, as a kid, loved it. Big fan.
Now, just a joy. I like watching this movie more than I like watching Return of the Jedi.
It is. Last Crusade is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. I don't know that it's as good as Raiders, but like Harrison Ford, Sean Connery together, I could watch them do anything.
It's a good ass movie.
Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah.
And they say in here that, as they explain, when it comes out in May, you guys are going to be so blown away by this, and mostly because of Harrison Ford being a comedic genius along with his co-star, Sean Connery, who is very, very funny. Like they hit the fact that these two guys are great together, which is absolutely true.
My buddy Tony, when he was a kid, he used to have these family parties, and we'd always I didn't meet him till we were like a little older, but I'd go back and watch his like home movies of these parties because they were crazy, because his parents would like go over the top, and he'd like wake up in the morning and his house would be like transformed into the Indiana Jones temple or something like that. And there was one year where they did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade party, and the family like party game was they were timing each other, and they tied two chairs together.
Oh, you had to get out of the chairs like in the movie?
They were sitting like this, and they had to go, Dad, what? Dad, what? Dad, what? Go over to the fireplace, and then they'd like
that's
shimmy
awesome.
to the fireplace together. Funny.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty good.
And basically, the article is essentially a weird take on Sean Connery, because it says, Sean Connery is a man who has arrived at his exact moment in time. He radiates confidence. The recognition of his peers for a lifetime of work, often unacknowledged, which finally came for Best Supporting Actor in The Untouchables, which is like a weird vibe.
He plays fucking James Bond.
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about? He's in Zardoz.
Yeah.
That's not an Oscar movie.
Do they just mean like he didn't get an Oscar nom before then?
I guess that's what they're saying, but it's a weird vibe to start with.
It's fine because it's weird because I think everybody loves Sean Connery.
Yeah. And they're like, he spent the last few years on a golf course, living his life. Cut to the past year, and he's in the middle of the desert, filming Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. And then they asked Spielberg, what's it like having Sean Connery and Harrison Ford together? And he's like, I imagine what it was like filming Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Everything about this, these two are awesome together. And they keep talking about how it's a lot of fun. And then they ask Connery, like, so what's it like? How's it going? And he says, it's totally different than Bond. And they ask him about Bond. And he says that, strangely enough, I'm not quite branded or destroyed by my association with Bond. You'd think everyone would just think that's Bond, but I've done a bunch of movies. Crazy. And
he's old now. He's he's like a sweet old man in this movie. He wears like a little like helmet hat thing.
Yeah, and he's like, the nice thing about Indiana Jones is that the humor is there, and the fact that it's back in an older age, not an age of hardware and spacecrafts, but cars and airplanes and trains and horses. Always looking for the humor in every situation, and Harrison Ford has a nice sly sense of humor. I'm very impressed by it. He's very quick. Steven Spielberg is inventive. I love filming with him. We've built up the humor as much as possible, and the relationships between Indiana and his father is developed as we've worked on it, and it's a terrific experience and great fun. And it's just like, another throwaway piece, but it's nice to see that everyone on set seemed to get the same vibe watching it, which is like, it looks like they had a blast filming.
It's crazy that after he made this movie, in the chamber, he still had Zorro and The Rock and Entrapment.
He
Zorro?
did a ton.
Yeah, isn't he the... Oh, no,
Anthony
it's
Hopkins is
Hopkins.
Zorro.
It's Hopkins.
No, but
what's-
he did like Dragonheart. He did fucking.
Oh, yeah, Dragonheart. That's him. He's the... Yeah.
God, what? There's another one I'm like blank. He did a
Red October?
Punch the Keys. Damn it! He did like he just did
You're the
movies
man now, dog. Yeah.
Finding
forever.
Forrester.
Yeah.
He did the Avengers.
Yeah, he's the
League of
villain.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, he's the villain. He's the villain in Avengers, too.
Oh, yeah.
In
just-
Emma Peel and John
Yeah, the
Steve.
other-
He just
Avengers.
like did a ton of movies forever.
Yeah. I mean, and then he got his good, solid, like, I'm out. I'm done. Which,
Man, he
less.
really is in a lot of movies. Holy shit.
Which is why I thought it was a weird vibe. They're like, finally, getting the acknowledgement. I was like,
He was in a
Connery?
bridge. He was in a bridge too far.
Like, Connery's in so many movies, and he's beloved by everyone. Like, it's absolutely mad.
That's
they're
why.
like,
Yeah, you're like.
okay.
Red October was after Last Crusade.
Dude, Red October, fantastic. That's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
Highlander 2, The Quickening, also after.
Really? Highlander's after
Highlander
Indiana
2.
Jones?
Highlander 2.
Okay, I was about to be like, whoa.
Yeah. Dude, First Night, forgot about that movie. The Rock, Avengers.
Oh, I love The Rock. Oh my God, The Rock is my goat. I watched that movie almost every day through college. It would get me through, like, I'd be...
Losers complain about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
I love Sean Connery in that movie.
Darla was the prom queen.
The best line of that is when he steals the car from the producer of the film and he goes like, I'm only borrowing your Humvee. That shit's hilarious. It's such a good movie. It's great.
He's a wild
Dude,
man.
you fucked up your Ferrari. It's not mine. It's like the weirdest.
San Francisco.
What
Everything
the
about
fuck
that
am
movie
I
is
supposed to
amazing.
do with it then? Do you think he's James Bond in that movie?
I love that that's an option. I think it's very clever.
I think that's like the best way to think about it.
It's a thing where it's like he is playing a James Bond type. So
Yeah.
if you want it to be James Bond, go for it. But it's like not like there's hard
Logan.
canon on
it
this.
becomes like Logan for James Bond if he's James Bond.
yeah.
It's
Pretty
fantastic.
cool. Yeah.
Vaporized, out to sea.
Yeah. They should do that with Pierce. They should do like
Sure.
like a old James, like they should make another James
Just
Bond
bring
movie
back
with
Pierce Brosnan and have him just go nuts.
And have him give him his like Taken, give him his, because he's still looking good.
Yeah.
He could
Yeah.
do it. Do like an old man
Liam's
shoot movie.
if Liam Neeson's is still doing it.
Make him the villain.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Old men fighting.
Yo,
Pierce versus Liam?
they tried to do that with
Like Solid and Liquid.
whatever that. I want to call it Suicide Squad. But that's not it. The one on not.
Dude, are you talking about
Space-
Stallone?
Yes, Stallone.
Expendables?
I can't remember the name of
Expendables.
it.
Expendables.
I also was like, what is it
I was about to call
called?
it the Untouchables. I was like, it's something. Like they tried to do that, and that was fun. I'd do it if it was just even older, more Bondy than just like action stars. If it was like Bond heroes, but old.
Yeah.
Shit,
I'm
I'd
into
eat
that.
that
The
up.
problem with the Expendables was like they forgot to like
The
give
movie
it
sucks,
a-
yeah.
Like they're not good movies. They're not even good action movies. It's
Yeah.
just them. Like
They suck.
It's pure nostalgia. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like find the right vehicle, and then also have them in it instead of
If
just
they gave us that movie Space Cowboys, where there's a bunch of old
Yeah.
men going to space, but it was the assassin version of that, that'd be a blast. I'd
Like
be down
Red.
for that.
That's Red.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's
Never
Red.
mind. That already happened.
That's
yeah.
Red, yeah. And Red 2. I think there's a Red 2. Is
There
John
is a Red too.
Malkovich
Not
in that?
nearly as
I
good.
enjoyed the first Red movie. I don't know if it was like great, but I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it. Yeah.
John Malkovich amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
Very
John
fun.
Malkovich always amazing.
True.
You got another one? Is that it?
That's it. Those are my two.
Guys, we just went inside the Insider. We went all the way inside George Lucas, and we went all the way
It's
inside.
cavernous in here. 3,000 acres.
Yeah, we went all the way inside Sean Connery. We went a
Sean
little
Connery
bit-
was there.
We went 9 inches into Kevin Pollock.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So
right under that hat.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/SWOCBC. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, SWOCBC, you're clear for landing. Inside the Insider is edited by Alex Del Campo and Alex Fasciani. The theme song is Jupiter, Bringer of Jollity by Gustav Holst. Thanks for listening.